What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Season 13 of the Blue Otter League. Tonight's action for the third week of Emeralds will be our first look at the Ionia division, featuring XSV Greed versus Tilt World Enders. Last week, XSV did pick up a relatively comfortable 2-0 victory over JR Flying Dutchman, with ADC Kaz having a very strong performance with a combined KDA of 24, 6, and 16 across those two games. For Tilt, it was unfortunately a 0-2 loss at the hands of TTM Aegeon, so they are going to be looking to get back to their world-ending ways in tonight's match. Before we get into the gameplay, we do have some more mammalian mates here in the production room to talk some otter. My name is Crewman44. I am joined, of course, by my co-host, the stupendous Mr. Storm. Storm, are you ready to strike?
Oh, but of course, and we were going to be striking twice. This should be a great series tonight. XSV Greed kind of coming in a little bit on the come up, whereas Tilt having to see if they can make a comeback series. Definitely excited to see if Weatherneck, Sky can make the comeback and become the world ender that I believe that they should be.
Indeed. Would you like to go ahead and introduce our guests there, Storm?
Yeah, we have two guests tonight with us. We have Frozen Spuds. If you'd like to introduce yourself, what team you're on, fun fact about yourself.
Hello. I'm Frozen Spuds of Mince Crashouts, and I did not come prepared with a fact. There's nothing you need to know about me.
Okay.
All right.
Think it over. Maybe we'll get back to that at the end of the episode. So,
Yeah.
keep
And
that in the
then we
back
also
burner.
have Q with us as well. If you want to introduce yourself, same kind of
Hello.
thing.
Most people just call me Q. I am the support for Syndicates at Sprites, and I am probably just the worst player on that team. So that's a fun fact.
Wow. All right.
True.
I actually have
Based.
an interesting thing to add on to that regarding tonight's matchup, but we'll maybe get into that a little bit later. And
Uh-oh.
Q, also congrats on picking up the win last week
Thank
over
you.
the
Thank you.
Big Chillers. Very nice. But let's go ahead and get into our first segment, guys. Mr. Producer, what do you have queued up for us first? Fantastic. We're just going to get straight into these predictions, guys. So, taking a look, of course, at Demacia first. Our first matchup we have to discuss is going to be Mint Crashouts. Your own team there, Mr. Spuds, going up against Elysium Encore this week. A couple of teams that I actually do rate both of these teams. I do think Elysium Encore is a very strong roster. They do have a little bit of an issue that has been pointed out to me. I believe this was somebody that was on the podcast last week mentioned this. The fact that Elysium Encore do have actually 3 mid laners on the roster. And that is something that Mint Crashouts do not have to deal with. So I do have Mint Crashouts for this one. Looks like we are all actually in agreement about predicting Mint Crashouts to take this match. Storm, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have said and believe that Mint Crashouts are probably, if everybody's rolling, everybody's good, there's the good vibes, the happiness bar is full. Mint Crashouts are going to beat anybody. Right now, the vibes are great. They've won every game. How could things be going wrong? So I have them winning. Um, I've played with a lot of the people on that team, and yeah, when things are going great, that team is going to roll through just about anybody. So I have them with a pretty comfortable 2-0 tonight. I'd love to hear Spud's kind of opinion on the rest of his team and how he feels you guys are going to do this evening.
We're going to do great. It's going to be 2-0. Not concerned. We have been a little bit more cautious with this week, I think, compared to the other 2 weeks that we've had. Elysium's probably a better challenge than the first 2 weeks. But looking for the rest of our schedule, I think it's on the downslope from here. So excited to see how we stack up against them tonight. But I do think it's going to be a 2-0.
Interesting. Sorry, I just missed the beginning of that there, Spuds. You were saying you do feel like this is your strongest opponent that you've had so far?
Yes.
Yeah. I would do have to agree with that, but like Storm was saying as well, you guys obviously have been finding a lot of success so far in the first couple of weeks, and being able to ride that momentum, I think, is obviously what we are all expecting you guys to be able to do. Q, anything to add on to here? You're obviously predicting the Crash Outs to take the win here as well. Anything you wanted to add?
No, man, I just think they're a super solid team. I think they've played in other leagues as well. I think with just about the same amount of people. Like I think maybe like one person's been changed. I could be wrong on that one, Spuds. But
Yeah, it's just Zooey.
yeah. So I mean, and Zoe's good, but like I mean, who do y'all have now? Is it Jake or?
No, we have Zooey in instead of Zed, which is who we
Oh,
had in Eternal.
yeah. I mean, there's not much I think difference. Like I don't know, this team fires on full cylinders. I think almost every single game. I think they'll be perfectly fun.
Yeah, we'll see though. 'Cause I do think there are strong players on Elysium Encore as well. And Spuds, you were just talking about, probably your strongest opponent so far. So really interesting to see if they can push you guys. But Spuds, you are predicting, as you mentioned, the 2-0. We'll have to see if that does end up coming to pass. Q, I actually want to come to you first for this next matchup. We've got Monkey's Cheers going up against Conduit Sun. Again, we are all aligned here, guys. We're all aligned actually for every match here in Demacia, which is pretty interesting. That so early on in the season, but still, we're just all in agreement about all these matchups. A little bit surprising for me. But Q, what are your thoughts on that Monkey's Cheers versus Conduit match?
Um, yeah, I don't know. Like Monkey Cheers, like they've had. I don't think they've been like crazy, like standout, like a standout team. Like I do think they're a pretty consistent team. Um, and Conduit Sun, I just don't think that they can get the ball completely rolling. I mean, if Conduit Sun can take a game off, I think it's just from Cheers messing up. I don't think Conduit Sun will probably ever be in the driver's seat.
Yeah, I would have to agree, and I do feel like Conduit Sun are probably pretty heavy underdogs in this one. And I agree as well. Monkey's Cheers seems like a really solid roster. They actually have had a couple of relatively tough opponents this season already. They had their Civil War against Monkey's Paw in week 1. They were able to get the 2-1 victory there, where Monkey's Cheers. And then they did pick up a win last week as well over Elysium Encore. So should probably be favored heading into this one. But Spuds, anything to add? What are your thoughts on this match?
I will say I've been pleasantly surprised with the way Conduit Sun has been performing so far. I thought coming into the season that they were going to be weaker than they are. We still got plenty to play, but the fact that they're 2-0 right now is pretty interesting to me. But I think Cheers should take this one, no problem.
Yeah, I am glad that you mentioned that, Spuzz. The fact that Conduit Sun are also 2-0. But I would argue that they had maybe some weaker opponents that they were going up against in these first couple of weeks. But over to you, Storm. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, they have played probably some of the weaker teams in Demacia, but everyone in Demacia is a good team. Like that isn't a total dig at them. You can't just be like, oh, they've played the Golden Geese or something along those lines of a team that have, players in gold or something.
Whoa, do
Just
not
stray
talk
off the geese there.
Do not talk like about the Golden Geese like that, brother.
I'm sorry, guys. I don't think they're gonna fly. But yeah, I think their Conduit Sun's like a decent team. They're impressing me. All fire, but has like shown that they can switch it up and play some other stuff. But like I'm pretty confident Shears is just gonna steamroll through this one. I don't think Sun is like one of those teams that are going to be like really good in the playoffs. I think they're just kind of one of those teams that are going to get to playoffs, play an actual team, and then just get kind of decimated.
All right. And then if you want to introduce our next matchup as well, Storm.
Yeah, for sure. So next up we have Syndicate to be determined, or two TBD versus Monkey's Paw. So we have a struggling Monkey's Paw, I think is safe to say for everybody. So we all more or less have Sin to be determined going over it. Monkey's Paw, just from what I've seen of like going over their post games, have had just absolutely brutal losses. Like when they're behind, they're taking a tower and a dragon a game, and like nothing more than that. So I don't know how they're gonna fix and kind of turn around their season, but I'm hoping they're able to, because I really like the idea of that team in theory on paper.
Now, you'll notice that the graphic actually mysteriously
Oh.
changed while we were having our conversation. I actually did want to predict Monkey's Paw for this one. I'm not sure what happened. I thought I had put in Monkey's Paw as my prediction earlier, and then it must have got changed somehow. I'm not entirely sure, but Your point is well taken, Storm, that they have had some really tough losses already for the side of Monkey's Paw, but I think they've had an incredibly tough schedule so far. I mean, I already briefly mentioned they were going up against their sister team, Monkey's Cheers, in week number 1 with Paul over there. They were able to take a game. Monkey's Paw were able to take a game in that best of 3 despite the loss. And then in week 2, Monkey's Paw were up against Spuds here and the rest of the Crash Outs, which was always going to be a tall order. So I think that Monkey's Paw has just unfortunately had a really tough couple of matches to start their season, and I'm actually expecting them to bounce back tonight against this Syndicate team. But Spuds, what are your thoughts? How did you feel playing up against Monkey's Paw last week?
Well, we've actually played both of these teams. So we played Sin TBD in week
Right.
1 and Monkey's Paw in week 2, and I'll be honest, they both seem like pretty weak rosters from what we played against. So it could be a toss-up. I think on paper, Sin has better players. So I think Sin wins out.
Fair enough. And let's hear from Q as well, of course, also predicting Syndicate. What are your expectations for this one?
Yeah, I mean, like I've played with Guo before. I've played against Sean and Titan a while ago. It's like Frozen Spud said, like Sin, they just have I think better players on paper. And I've played with Maze too when I first started playing. But I think Myth is like an upcoming like plat talent if I'm not mistaken. Um, it's just I don't know. I just don't think Monkey's Paw has been very coordinated, especially like jungle support at all, and they've been very confused on like what plays they want to make as a team, and like they're making 2 different plays on opposite sides of the map, and they're just lost. But like for some reason, if Monkey's Paw does win this game, it might give them some momentum and get them into a slingshot for maybe playoff contention. But I think if they don't beat Sin TBD, then I think their playoffs runs are over.
Wow. This early on in the season already, and we're thinking it's going to be time to give up on Monkey's Paw. I mean, that's kind of the way it is here in the Demacia group, right? There's a lot of competition. If you're going to start out the season 0-3 in this group, then yeah, Q, I hear you. It's hard to really come back from that position. So we'll have to see. But it sounds like you're expecting coordination, specifically between jungle and support, to potentially be the determining factor in this match. So have to keep an eye out for that. And then Storm, if you want to go ahead and introduce our last matchup for Demacia.
Yeah, for sure. And then in our last matchup of the evening, we have Draconic Spire versus Blue Sabres Wolves Reborn. So both these teams were kind of predicted by most people to be the teams kind of fighting towards the bottom of Demacia. That they're both good teams, but they're not great teams like the rest of the Demacia teams that we're expecting to be kind of emerging from the playoffs prediction. Um, I think we all kind of have Draconic Spire currently listed as our favorites heading into this. I just kind of think that the Blue Sabres are a team that look to be playing almost kind of completely back to front. That's what's worked for them. In their last week, they tried experimenting a little, and it just seemed like they didn't have the coordination to play something that was kind of different. And I think they just kind of need to go back to their basics. And I'm hoping we see that out of them. If they do that, I think they're able to get a win here. But I think Draconic Spire is just going to be able to take it tonight.
Yeah, I don't really have too many thoughts about this matchup. Like you said, Storm, I think these are probably 2 of the more, let's say, underdog teams here in Demacia. I do recognize Sailor and Penguini. I've seen them play a little bit, so that was my main prediction, honestly. For reason for my Draconic prediction is I just those guys I do have some expectations for. They might be able to get some work done in this one, but yeah, Saber Wolves. Interesting to hear from you, Storm, that you do feel like if they go back to basics and really just focus on the fundamentals, then they could have a decent shot at taking the win tonight. Do you have a similar read, Spuds, or what are your thoughts behind that Spire prediction?
So I think Spire's just a better team. I will say Spire has obviously been struggling. I think from my read on our group before the season, they were one of the teams that would potentially be playing for the last spot for playoffs. And at week 3, it looks like that's still the case. I am interested that they changed out their ADC this week, so they have a new ADC slotted in. I'm interested to see if that helps them perform any better. But realistically, if Spire wants to make a playoff run, they need to win tonight because they are up against what's looking like the weakest team in the group currently. So as we get closer to playoffs, this is a really important match for them to be able to secure.
Yeah, Spire did lose last week to Sin TBD, 1-2 loss, so they are 0-2 right now. So yeah, like you said, Spuds, they are really going to be needing to pick up the win tonight to avoid that dreaded 0-3 as we've already discussed. And then, of course, coming to you last, Q, thoughts on this last Demacian matchup?
Yeah, I agree with Spuds pretty much. I mean, obviously this is Spuds' group, so he has a lot better read than me. I think for me a big thing with Draconic Spire is like they've shown like life and some fight in both series that they've played. Like because they lost, 2-1 to Sun and Sin TBD.
Yeah.
So it's like they can show that they can kind of keep up. So I think that's gonna I think that's what they're trying to hold on to and see if they can take this win and catapult it.
Yeah, going to be a big one for both of those teams to try to get themselves a little bit of momentum going as we are already approaching the halfway point of the round robin. Kind of crazy as the season, it really feels like the season just started.
Mm-hmm.
But you only get 7 weeks to get those wins, so you got to get every single one that you can. Q, let's go ahead and move on into your division. Take a look at our predictions for Noxus now. Storm, why don't you go ahead and lead us off for Noxus?
Yeah, so first up, coming up for Noxus, we have the Monkeys Manor versus Team Mid Only. So Team Mid Only, safe to say that they're struggling so far. They haven't been able to pick up a win just yet in the league. Monkeys Manor, they're doing all right. They have 8 points. So I think all of us are just kind of leaning towards them. It's just kind of what you feel like. You predict the team that's got the wins on the board. So I feel like it's a pretty safe prediction on my side, just going for, and what we all have, just saying that the Monkeys men are going to take this 2-0.
Yeah, the team mid only have definitely really been struggling so far. It's hard to predict them in this matchup against the Monkeys. I will say Ferromancy. I watched in the Premier League recently. Was struggling a bit at support, but is playing jungle now here in BOL Emerald. So it'll be really interesting to see, as the season progresses, how Ferromancy does over there in the jungle. And Chinese Spy, somebody that a lot of people know, obviously, they're in the mid lane. So these are players that we definitely know can get stuff done. And they should be able to in this matchup tonight against TMI. And Q, let's come to you first for your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, I know Monkeys Manor has a win under their belt. However, like they've played Being Chillers, Winston Wingens, which we played last week, which was a really good team. Like
Yeah.
without a doubt, top four. It's just kind of Noxus is I feel like really volatile in the top four, so it's like nobody knows where any team's gonna land.
Mm.
Like they've played them, and they played Goon Squad, so it's like not like I mean it's kind of like bottom of the group team, but then team and only they've played Original Sin, and then I think they've also played Goon Squad. Um, so it's like no, they've played Shadow Spire, excuse me. So like they've
Yeah.
played better teams than Monkeys Manor
Right.
has on paper, arguably. Um, I still think Monkeys Manor is just going to take it. I just don't think Team Mid Only has anything going for them quite yet. But
Do you feel like team mid only with a little bit more time? Do you think they're going to like ramp up into the season, or are you not really expecting that to be the
um,
case?
they might. Like I don't know. Like I'm a big person on like mid, like the week 3, week 4 games, because like those are kind of like your do or die games, especially if you're
Mm.
0-2. Like I do have them losing. Like I do have them taking a game off of Monkeys Manor.
Okay.
Now if they take game 1 or game 2, then they may be able to take the third, like 2/3 or 2-1 them with the momentum. But I mean, I do think it'll be harder for them.
Interesting. Interesting. Do you expect this to be a close match as well, Spuds? Obviously you are also predicting the Monkeys to take it in the end. What are your thoughts?
I'll be honest. I think both of these teams are pretty bad.
Mhm.
I will say the one thing about Monkeys Manor that I don't have a good read on. I know Ferromancy originally was a jungler and then role swapped
No.
to support.
Yeah.
I have not seen what he's like in jungle. I would be really interested to be able to see some of their games, but I've not had the pleasure of doing so. But I think both of these teams are pretty weak, so I wouldn't say that I think it's. I would say that it's probably going to be pretty close, maybe a little bit of a fiesta. Probably be a fun
Okay.
game to watch if you could.
Yeah, yeah. So both of you guys expecting this to be a pretty competitive match. That's definitely interesting to hear. Yeah, it's really quite a shame for Ferromancy that they killed Rel Jungle, isn't it? Really
It is.
unfortunate.
Yeah.
Oh well. So let's go ahead and move on, guys. Our next matchup here is Bing Chillers Winions versus Maelstrom Esports. And I actually, contrary to what our viewers might expect, I actually do want to talk about this for a little bit. This is a bit of a weird one because of course, anybody who saw the match results channel over there in the main Discord will know that Maelstrom Esports did forfeit already to the Chillers. That happened yesterday afternoon, and the timing of that is really what I kind of wanted to discuss with you guys for a second. For me, seeing that it was really frustrating. Like, just the fact that you're forfeiting more than 24 hours in advance, like it feels like there was time there for them to try to find a sub, right? So what that tells me is that Maelstrom are forfeiting that match only because they feel like they have no chance to win. And I don't know if that's true or not. This is just me speculating. But if that is the case, I mean, that is just really frustrating. It's like if you're one of the worst teams, then you should, in my opinion, be relishing the opportunity to go up against these really strong teams because those are the games that you're going to learn the most from, right? You're going to be able to VOD review those games and pick them apart and see all the things that your opponents are doing to you that makes them one of the best teams in the league, right? That is giving them those big advantages. And the fact that Maelstrom Esports don't even want to play the game, I mean, it's just like, why are you even in the league at that point? Like, I was really kind of bothered when I saw that, Storm. I don't know if you want to
Yeah.
respond.
I mean, I feel like it's hard to say because you don't know with some of these teams. Like Maelstrom don't have any subs listed on their roster. I think they're one of the very few teams in the league that don't. So it might be one of those things that, like,
Sure, it could
it's,
be, yeah.
they're a group of five really good friends and they went, okay, well, Matt can't make it tonight. So, let's not just play it out or something. But I definitely agree with you. Playing the best teams in the league definitely makes you grow the most and gives you the most opportunity to learn what you're doing wrong. I really want to hear from Spuds because you actually have Maelstrom winning this game.
I do.
Yeah, is this just some beef going against the Winston's Winions, or
Well, it's just, I mean, Winston's Winions was probably going to win this anyways. So considering the fact that Maelstrom had to FF, I actually think they are the winners because they did not have to suit up and go through the process of playing against Espada.
So you have the polar opposite perspective from what I was saying just a minute ago, in other words. You think it's actually just a huge win that they don't have to get beat down by the Winions.
Yeah. Well, it's not so much that they don't have to get beat down by the Winions. It's just they don't have to go through the process of donning a hazmat suit to be in the same lobby as Espada.
Interesting. Okay. So there is all right. I mean I kind of see what you're saying there, Spuds. I understand that perspective. I'm curious to hear your thoughts, Q. Where do you land in this debate? Is this
So
go ahead.
a little fun fact was Maelstrom was actually the team I was on to enter BOL,
No kidding.
and I had left them to join Sit Sprites. Thrasher was actually going to play support, and we convinced them to play jungle to let me support.
Oh.
And the time I was on Maelstrom for a couple weeks, it was it was a lot of hit and miss, more of a lot of miss than anything.
Hmm.
There's just like no chemistry there, so I'm not really surprised with how they've like obviously how week one was, and then in week two, I think they got beat by Shattered Spire. I think faster than we beat them, or close to it. Um,
Mhm.
I just feel like if you're gonna forfeit week three against another top tier team, like I don't really see a point of playing the rest of the split.
That's kind of what I'm saying. Yeah. So
So
you're
like
more on the
it's
side of like they should have played the match even if they didn't have much of a chance to win, right?
yeah, I think so. Just because like if you can get a sub or maybe even a potential tryout to fill the slot, If you're changing rosters, then I mean it's another 2 games minimum that you have to play with it. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, interesting to hear from you as well, Q, that you have that little bit of an extra insight from spending a little bit of time actually on Maelstrom. That is really cool that you're able to share that with us. Storm, you want to go ahead and introduce that next matchup?
Yeah. Third matchup in the Demacia. In Noxus we have Goon Squad Gaming coming in as the heavy underdogs, coming up against the Syndicate Suit Sprites. Just from looking at Goon Squad Gaming, they're another team that's kind of in the bottom of Noxus. They're without a win. The Suit Sprites, we casted them last week, and you guys had that fantastic series win, coming in with a whole bunch of momentum. This should be a fairly dominant 2-0. I looked at some of the drafts that Goon Squad has been doing, and there is something wrong is in that kitchen. There's people putting blue cheese with tuna fish. Like
Oh
oh
no.
no.
it's disgusting. Why are we playing Tarek Soraka bot lane? Like what is
Oh,
happening?
oh God.
The enemy team picks Jinx Braum on like 1-2, and we answer with Morgana Zaya on 4-5. Like there's bad stuff going on. So I hope Goon Squad Gaming can kind of fix some things, figure out what they're doing, what their kind of play is, who they're going to be going for. I think this is a great opportunity for you guys on the Suit Sprites to kind of try something out, see some different comps. But I feel like this should be a pretty clear win for you guys tonight. Um, I'd kind of like to hear from you, Q. What are your kind of thoughts heading into tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I agree that this should be a clean 2-0. That's the thing is like I know sometimes you have like a top tier team playing against a bottom tier team and they try some funny stuff and they get a little carried away. Um, I know I do. I got carried away last week and picked Swain support and I got absolutely trolled for it in the Syndicate VC after I joined. So like I mean, it happens. It happens. Content though. Um, I mean, yeah, I mean, we've been in and out this week having to do like subs for scrims, but I mean, I think we're fine. I think we'll be a nice little everybody get back and just 2-0 and look at stuff. So
Yeah, I mean, if you do pick up the win tonight, that's obviously going to be 3-0 now for you and the Soot Sprites, assuming that does come through. So the opposite of we were talking about before, these teams that desperately are trying to avoid the dreaded 0-3, right? Whereas on the other side of it, if you're 3-0, you're almost just like sitting pretty at that point. It's almost a sure thing if you open up with 3 wins that you're going to make playoffs. So definitely looking pretty good there. Assuming you can make this one happen. Spuds, what are your thoughts? Obviously predicting Q to take the win tonight as well. You think it's going to be close at all? Do you think there's any chance for the Goons to get something?
Nope. I think this one's really simple. Syndicate is really, really good, and Goon Squad is really, really bad.
All right. Well, we've tried our best to curse you, Q. As we'll have to see if we did enough there. Let's go ahead and move on to our last matchup for Noxus. Going to be the Shattered Spire, the defending champs, going up against Original Sin. Everybody here predicting the Shattered Spire to take this one. It's pretty tough to bet against those defending champs, isn't it? For Original Sin, I believe, are they 1-1 right now?
They're 2-0.
they're
They haven't
2-0.
dropped
Oh,
a
they are.
game yet either.
Okay. So, this honestly might be a little bit more competitive than our unanimous Shattered Spire predictions would lead our audience to believe. What are your more detailed thoughts, Storm?
Yeah, so I kind of talked about it in content. Both these teams right now are like cooking really well. Everything's firing together. The line is in harmony. The saucier is able to get the sauce on the plate at the right time. Everything's working well.
Delicious.
So, like, the top 20 of our league is basically filled with these two teams. Like, if you look at the top 10, it's like four players from the Shattered Spire and 3 or 4 players from Syndicate, from Original Sin. So they're both really good. So I'm surprised almost to see that everybody agrees with me that it's the Shattered Spire 2-0. But I personally, again, I've played with both Butters and Zed of Original Sin, and I'm not the believer in them. I want to say, like Zed was
Oh.
talking about last week. I think both of them are much more secondary carries. Whereas I feel the Shattered Spire are the team that has kind of that fearless advantage that, Wichita at Black Mass can be like, yeah, it's Olaf game, give me the ball and just run over people, or it's going to be like, oh no, I'll chill on Sejuani this game, and that's like everyone on that team just like can kind of flow and draft and do different things. Whereas with Original Sin, I don't see a lot of those like flex options available and things like that. So I think just draft. The Shattered Spire has an advantage, and I think when the two teams are both doing this well, that's going to matter a lot, and that's why I have them winning tonight.
Yeah, makes sense. I will say that I think when I was making my Preds, I noticed that Butters did have a really solid performance last week, I believe. I don't remember the numbers on that or anything, but I just feel like, for the Shattered Spire, Boostus, I mean, like you were just saying, Storm is more than capable of just being an anchor and sort of, playing maybe more of utility picks tonight than just having like a safe laning phase. And I feel like the top side of the map for Shattered Spire are just really threatening. Probably have a little bit of an edge over Original Sin. So, those are my kind of feelings on it. Spuds, what are your thoughts? Where do you land in terms of this prediction?
I think this one is going to be fairly close. I waffled back and forth on this one. I think both teams have good momentum coming into this week. And I wish I could, with a good conscience, vote for Original Sin, because I'm friends with a lot of those players, but I think TSS will likely have the edge tonight.
All right, all right. And then Q, your thoughts as well. How do you feel about, Storm was talking about how the Shattered Spire maybe have a little bit of an edge in terms of the fearless system. Might have a little bit of an advantage there. I'm feeling like they got a stronger top side. Obviously, you're predicting them as well. How do you think it's going to happen for TSS?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Storm because I mean, this roster's I think been around in multiple leagues for a while now. I've even played against almost this exact roster except for like one person different, in Titan a long time ago. And we got hit with the good old Olaf Seraphine, and it did not feel good.
Yeah.
I can tell you that.
Oh.
I have Shatter Spire 2-1. Um, I, I do think Sin can win. I just like Storm says, I just think Spire has the edge in draft, and if Sin does win, it's gonna be a crazy like 2-1 series, like neck and neck every single game.
All right, so we'll see. Shattered Spire, well, both of these teams actually looking to get that 3-0 start for themselves as well. We'll see who's going to be able to make it happen. Let's move on now to Ionia. And guys, we're actually going to have to pick up the pace a little bit because we are actually running out of time. We've only got about 5 minutes or so to go over the last two divisions. So, lightning rounds coming through here. This first one going to be Team Solo Invade versus Dorado Gaming. TSI, very solid performance over in the Premier League. RJ's great 80 carry. Dorado struggling with consistency. Storm, your thoughts?
Yeah, basically that. RJ's, I didn't know about RJ. I had just seen kind of their solo queue data and went, man, this guy doesn't look that great. They made me eat my words. They're playing awesome. They're throwing curveballs. Jungle Shen was crazy to see this early on. I think they're a really good team. I don't think Dorado's gonna do anything other than being kind of themselves. I think they're just a middle of the road team. I think Solo Invade's just a better team.
All right, Spuds, a little quicker than Storm, please.
I think TSI will win.
Thank you. Q.
Agreed.
All right. Our featured matchup, Tilt World Enders versus XSV Greed, is going to be what we have on the stream tonight, and I'm very happy to see we've got a split prediction for this one. I personally am giving it for Tilt, definitely expecting this to be a close contest, but I just think that my girl Star Burrito is going to be able to get it done. Storm.
Yeah. I'm really concerned about how Weatherneck or Sky Switch is doing. He's got some rough stats right now. Tilt and their losses have looked pretty terrible, and they've looked really great in their wins. So I think they are kind of coin flipping right now. I'm thinking XSV Greed is just a more consistent team. That's why I have them.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough, Spuds.
I look forward to seeing some twerking Aatrox in Gen Chat later tonight.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Q.
Yeah, I know. Last week Tilt kind of think got obliterated by TTM, and Greed just came off
Yeah.
of a win, and they played Gluttony week
True.
1, and they looked really good against Gluttony. I think
Also true.
Greed looks a lot better right now.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So a little bit of a more I mean, I'm very much behind the twerking Aatrox and Gen Chat, but I do feel like Q has a little bit more of a well-rounded answer there. We'll have to see. We're going to get a closer look at that matchup later on. Next up, we do have TTM Acheon versus the Monkeys Goons. Everybody predicting TTM here, Storm?
Yeah, I think TTM's the real deal. Monkeys Goons have not looked good so far.
All right, fair enough. Spuds.
Yep. 2-0 team versus 0-2 team. You can do the math.
Mhm.
Yeah, that makes sense. Q?
I mean, you have a very unstoppable team right now, and you have a very stoppable team. So like,
The classic, you think it's a hydrogen bomb versus coughing baby kind of situation here?
I don't even think they get out of the base, to be honest.
Oh my. Well, that'll be interesting to see. XSV Gluttony versus Flying Dutchman, our last matchup here in Ionia. Everybody predicting Gluttony Storm.
Yeah, I don't believe in the Jolly Rogers very much, so Gluttony easy 2-0.
Yeah, the XSV teams definitely seem to be pretty evenly matched, and JR been struggling a little bit for sure. Spuds, your thoughts?
I wish I could vote for Jolly Rogers Flying Dutchman, but they suck.
All right, very to the point. Thank you, Spuds. Q.
I agree. I think this might be the chance they can pull out though, because Gluttony's playing with like 14 subs or something like that right now.
Ah, yes.
Because of
Thank you for
Aegis.
mentioning that, Q.
So
Yes.
that would be the only determining factor.
Could be an angle there for the Dutchmen, as they do desperately need a win on the board. Moving on now, our last division, Freljord. Our first matchup here going to be AK Hearts versus the Chosen Inters. The Chosen Inters did get a win in week 1, I do believe. I believe both of these teams actually are 1-1. Could be wrong.
Yep.
Yeah, but I do think that the Chosen Inters are actually going to be able to find something here. But I'm the only one who thinks that. So Storm, why is it going to be AK Hearts instead?
AK Hearts have like some of the best individual players in the league. Like Okami is an absolute monster. Sure, the
Wow.
rest of that team is like crazy inconsistent, and I don't know what they're doing half the time, but I really like them, and I've always been high up on them. Probably too high up, to be honest.
Interesting. Storm's saying they got some of the best individual players in the league. Spuds, your thoughts?
I think they're an okay team. I think they're just better than Chosen Inters.
Okay, not necessarily some of the best individual players in the league, or
Definitely not.
okay. Q.
Yeah, I agree with Spuds on that one. I had Chosen Enters like pretty high up on my list at the beginning of the season, but they fail me every week, I swear.
Well, it's only week 3, so they could still bring it back, but this could be a big matchup tonight. So we'll have to see what happens with this one. Our next matchup is going to be Glacial Spectre going up against definitely not Huracan, something like that
Yeah.
anyway. Glacial Spectre, I believe 1-1. Huracan, I believe 0-2. Could be wrong
Yep.
again there. I am right. Excellent. I love being right. Storm.
Again, definitely not Huracan as a team I feel has a lot of issues going for them. Glacial Spectres, a good solid team, and in this Freljord division, being a good solid team means you're getting into the playoffs.
That makes sense to me. Spuds.
Yeah, Huracan just has not looked good these first 2 weeks.
Yeah, a very fair assessment, I think. Q.
I think they should change their name to Definitely Not Winning.
Okay.
It just looks bad. It just looks bad.
Moving on, our next matchup, Bloom Gaming Wisteria up against the Golden Geese. Our boy Chong Solmo over there on Bloom. Everybody except Spuds, thinking he's going to be able to get it done. Spuds, you think the Geese are going to take flight tonight?
Yes. All I've got to say about this is honk honk, Geese Gang, rise up. One of these weeks, Geese Gang will defy expectations, and I don't want to be on the wrong side of history when my goats finally get a win.
All right, I'm glad you were able to get that out there, Spuds. Fantastic. But Storm, you were just saying earlier, not a lot of faith in the flock.
No, I have almost zero faith in the Golden Geese. I had said if Bloom Gaming isn't like the first team to win tonight, they have failed themselves.
Wow. Okay. Q, your thoughts?
I mean, yeah, I agree. Geese just don't look good. They didn't even look good against Chosen Enters either. So
Well, I mean, I hear you guys, but I'm not hearing the same passion in that analysis that I heard from Spud. So I'm actually almost tempted to change my prediction. If it wasn't my boy
W.
Chong Solmo
I,
over there in
I
support,
think
still gotta
Spuzz
go
is a
Chong.
little delusional tonight.
We'll see. But last but not least, we do have the Conwood Gremlins going up against No Quarter Gaming. These are two teams that definitely Conwood Gremlins were one of the stronger rosters last season. At No Quarter Gaming did make playoffs, I believe, but didn't get much farther than that. And, just preseason expectations, I do feel like the Conduit Gremlins are probably the strongest team here in Freljord. What do you think, Storm? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think Conduit and Bloom are 1-2 in this division, like easy. I think they should win tonight. No Quarter have not looked good whenever I have seen them in a league. I think they have not made playoffs almost ever, so I'm predicting Conduit.
Am I misremembering that no Quarter made playoffs last season?
Yeah,
I thought
they missed.
Oh, they did miss it. Oh, okay. My bad on that one. Spud, your thoughts?
I think Conduit Gremlins is probably the best team in this group. I think
Yeah.
they managed to land into a group in which that could be the case. But I think they win tonight.
Excellent. Q.
I also agree. I mean, I think they are for sure the best team in this group. I do think if this matchup was 2 or 3 weeks down the road, I think it might be a little bit different story. No
Okay.
Quarter's starting to look a little bit better, but I don't think they have what it takes just yet.
All right. Excellent, guys. Thank you very much for joining us this week on Otter Talk. Really quickly, let's get in some shout outs. Frozen Spuds, your shout outs, please.
Shout outs to my Geese gang. Honk honk.
Hell yeah. Q, your shout outs.
I mean, obviously my whole team, but also shout out to 22K.
All right. Good stuff. Thank you, boys, very, very much. Good luck in your games tonight. Sorry for keeping you so long. Guys, we're going to go to a short break. We'll be right back with tonight's action. Don't go anywhere. All right, everybody. Welcome to Champion Select for our first game of the night. Game 1 here for our Week 3 featured matchup. Sorry about a little bit of an extended delay there. We had a situation where XSV, unfortunately, not able to get their starting AD carry on the Rift tonight. Kaz not going to be here for this match. A player Storm that I was highlighting in the intro as, I felt was their strongest performer last week. Could be a big hit to XSV not having Kaz on the Rift tonight.
Yeah, it's always difficult having to deal with an E-sub on your team. Be interesting to see if they choose to, go towards the, well, you're getting put onto Ezreal and Ashe duty kind of thing, right? Just focus on utility more, or if they're going to continue to play as they normally would and just hope that this E-sub is able to carry them.
Yes, Ezreal, famously a pick with lots of utility. But getting into this draft, Storm, as you can see, guys, XSV are going to lose out on 2 of their bans for all of these games tonight because they are playing with an E-sub. So they have gone with the Sejuani as their sole ban for the side of XSV. Wukong, Syndra, and Gragas taken away by Tilt. Jinzhao on the B1. Jinx going to come through in response alongside the Jarvan. So Jinzhao, it's a little bit surprising to me, Storm, that we'd see this pick come through so early, but I do feel like Tilt maybe self-counterpick themselves a little bit, because I do feel like that 1-to-1 matchup between the junglers is Jinzhao favored, but Jarvan probably just picked more with the team fights, I think, in mind.
Yeah, I mean, Jinx and Jarvan are just kind of 2 of those classic late game team fight win the game kind of champions, right? You don't ever pick Jarvan, and you're never really excited to be playing Jarvan, but Jarvan's just always kind of one of those staple junglers, similar to the Sejuani that was banned. We do see XSV Greed are going much more towards kind of early game, mid game kind of focus with the Xin Zhao, Tristana, and Rel, really playing a lot of heavy CC dive threat for this Jinx, who is typically immobile. Jarvan can help with that, putting up some walls in between them, has the knock up and things like that. I'm assuming we'll see some sort of disengage as well, and we do. The Ari comes through.
Interesting.
Yeah, providing a bit more just of that peel, giving you another carry that's again hard to kill.
All right. Yeah. We've got a very aggressive opening to this draft, I feel like, for XSV Greed. You were just talking about the Tristana Rel bot lane. That can, obviously they're going to be wanting to play that really, really aggressively. And the Xin Zhao as well is a very strong early skirmishing jungler. Interesting to see the mid pick being played face up here by Tilt. I was actually talking to Star Burrito the other day, Storm, and it was really interesting. She was saying that she actually sees herself as possibly being the weakest link on this team. She really had a lot of praise to offer towards her teammates. She felt like, her team is really strong. So as long as she can bring up her own level of play, she was really confident that this squad is going to be a solid playoff team. But going for her Ari pick here in the first phase blind, definitely an interesting decision. And they're not really targeting the mid pool at all with these bans either. Taking away the Scion and the Renekton away from the top laner there of XSV. And on their side, the Greed side, Aatrox going to be removed. And I guess we're probably just going to see another top laner here going to be taken off the board.
Yeah, again, something targeting towards Sky's champion pool, something that can kind of play off and give some side lane threat is generally how Tilt plays. Oh, interesting. They instead go with the Lulu ban that looks up the Braum. As we know, Tilt are huge fans of picking this champion. Aura will draft it basically whenever possible. So I'm not surprised to see that one go through. I am expecting kind of a safe blind pick top laner here by Gragas for the side of Spoobert of XSV.
All right. We'll see what he goes for. Swain going to be locked in for the mid lane. That's some good team fighting power for Greed. Yeah, the Braum does feel like a really strong pick into this Tristana Rel bot lane, right? If they are going to be trying to play really aggressive laning phase, Braum probably one of the best champions at shutting that down, and there's that safe blind pick in the top lane that you were looking for, Storm.
Yeah. Be interesting to see what we're going to see out of Weatherneck. I'm kind of thinking we're going to see Camille here, would be my thought, but
that could be
there's
fun.
plenty of definitely Cassante answers out there. Just depends on what you like. Gwen,
Ooh, yeah, can't forget about this. She's still busted, and there it
yep.
is. Should be a great matchup into the Cassante. It does feel like perhaps a little bit of a departure from what was otherwise a very cohesive team fighting composition for Tilt. But that's not to say that Gwen can't team fight. And obviously, if you just dumpster the Cassante in lane, then you're just going to be able to show up to the team fights and make the difference anyways. So, what are your thoughts on that R5 Gwen there, Storm?
I think it definitely gives them some more damage that's more resistant to the dive, right? The XSV Greed team is definitely a team that wants to be going forward, and so I think Gwen is a good option into that. My only real worry is, as you were mentioning, just like there isn't like a huge stable front line for the side of Tilt into this really heavy dive, right? That there
Mm,
isn't, other than the Braum CC, right? Most of it is very committed on the side of Tilt that people can get by it with the side of Flash or outplays on the side of XSV Greed. So I'm going to be curious to see whether this Jinx is able to kind of keep themselves safe and if they're able to auto attack anyone. I mean, Cassante and Xin Zhao are two champions you never really want to be auto attacking Jinx just because of Cassante. Cassante always having that threat and the ability to just push you somewhere away from your team where you can just get 1v1, and Xin Zhao having the ability to turn off all of your damage. So I think it'll be
yeah.
interesting to see. I think the Gwen definitely does make a lot of sense in giving you some side lane threat and hopefully being able to pull that Cassante away. I feel like the 4v4 tilt is stronger than the side of XSV.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it will come down in large part then probably to how that top lane matchup actually goes, right? If it ends up being like kind of even and the Gwen counterpick is not able to get a huge advantage and both top laners just end up showing up to the team fights, then we're probably favoring XSV Greed in that situation, right? So I think it
Yeah.
does put a lot of pressure there on that tilt top laner to get some work done in the laning phase. We'll see what Weatherneck is able to show us.
Yeah. Um, I think it's kind of risky because I wouldn't really want to be playing Gwen into Xin Zhao. Xin Zhao Cassante definitely sounds like a lane that if they so choose that they can, kind of camp top lane. And Gwen typically, is a champion that runs Ghost and has a hard time escaping ganks, especially when you're having to E forward as Gwen to get some of these trades and be able to reposition yourself constantly against Cassante. So be interesting to see how this matchup goes.
Yeah.
I think bot
Yeah.
lane, though, is probably where XSV will play just because you have Tristan Rel. That's a lane that wants to snowball. That's a lane that wants to go forward and fight people. So,
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see. We do have both of our junglers are very strong early junglers, right? Storm, we were talking earlier about how Jarvan can be a strong team fighter, right? It's going to be able to offer that relatively reliable engage later on and is going to be able to provide a little bit more frontline for the team, a little bit more setup. But mainly, Jarvan, I always say, if you're only thinking about the team fights, if you're only picking for the team fights, you don't want to pick Jarvan, right? Just pick an actual tank, somebody who's going to be able to survive for longer, somebody who has more setup, more reliable setup that they can work with. What Jarvan gives you that a lot of tanks don't is he does have that early gank threat, right? He can be really proficient at trying to look for those early advantages, but he does, as I mentioned earlier, it's not a great matchup into the Xin Zhao. So it's going to be really interesting for me to see what the Jarvan decides to prioritize early on, if he is going to be looking for any of these early angles, or if he really wants to play more defensively and kind of scale up towards the later stages. And on the other side for the Xin Zhao as well. Are you feeling pressured on this early skirmishing jungler? You were just talking, Storm, about how you think there could be an angle towards this top side if the Gwen is trying to play it out really aggressively, right? Then Xin Zhao could try to get up there and put the Gwen behind. But what are your expectations for each of these junglers in terms of what you think they're going to be looking for in the early game?
I definitely believe that Jarvan has to path bot this game to defend his Jinx Braum. I
Mm,
don't almost think it's a question that is your vulnerable lane. That is where you need to be in case of the 3v3. That, if Xin Zhao is there and you are not, it is an absolute disaster down there on the side of just with Rel and Zinzao being able to provide so many different knockups and abilities to interrupt the dash of Braum. So I think Jarvan is definitely forced to go bot lane to help protect his team. Whereas for the side of XSV Greed, there are definitely ways to go in the early game, right? You don't have to go for top lane. You don't have to go towards bot lane. You can go for that top lane. You can go for grubs. You can go for the early draggy. Your whole team basically has a lot more priority in your lanes, I'm expecting anyway. I'm unsure if Swain is really going to do very much, and it does give you, again, pre-6 kill looks onto Ahri, who, that is just more CC setup and combos. So I think XSV has a lot more options available to them, and I'm kind of expecting them to do something different. I'm not expecting to see a 3v3 bot at 3:30, 4 minutes into this game.
Okay. Yeah, what are you expecting then? I don't want to really hold your feet to the fire too much, Storm, but we've got a little bit more time here to consider the possibilities. So if you were the Xin Zhao in this game, what's your plan?
I honestly really think that you, as XSV Greed, should be looking for this kind of early game. Get somebody forced to burn a flash. It is always risky fighting into a Braum at level 1 just because of all of the CC that he offers, but the rest of your team, I feel, is really strong. Just kind of get somebody's flash early and figure out kind of where you're going to be playing from, because every single lane for you is good. So I'm thinking that we're going to get a 3-camp, an aggressive gank early, blow a flash, play towards that side of the map, and just repeat gank it. That's how I'd like them to play. And that's how I think XSV Greed will be taking this game, is just playing wherever they're given the opportunity to. That they don't have to force the play necessarily, but just take what they're given.
All right, interesting. So it sounds like, at the very least, for the side of AO, on the Xin Zhao, you can kind of test Seitan's Jarvan, right? Like, is Seitan actually going to be in that bot lane after the first clear? Like you were saying, it's mandatory that he is, right, Storm? So you could take a look down there. If there is a window, then maybe you can take that play then, right? Like you were talking about, take what's being offered to you basically as the side of XSV in this one. We'll see what they're able to find. I do think we can go ahead and take a look at the mid lane now as well, the last lane that we haven't really touched on too much. We did have the Swain was picked, of course, into the Ahri. Ahri taking on the R3 there. And then until not really worried about what could come out in response. They were banning away top laners in that second phase, and we did see the Swain come out in response on the B4. So this is clearly a matchup that Brother Otter wanted into the Ahri. But what are your thoughts on that 1v1?
Yeah. Again, Ahri is one of kind of the only mids in the game I feel is a reliable kind of safer blind pick, that there isn't too many champions that are, really detrimental to her. She is very safe once she hits level 6, the W repositioning, and especially now that the kind of build that has popped up that a lot of people are playing, this Rod of Ages into Leandries, just kind of burn and do constant chips of damage into your opponent. So I see the Swain kind of answer into it, that as somebody who's able to, stack up and get that health rolling, that if Ahri isn't building, towards that one-shot build, that you are going to be able to scale much, much harder and be able to push them out easier. So I think that's a good matchup for the side of the Swain, but I'm not expecting like solo kills out of it. I think it's just going to be like incremental farm leads in the first roam for Swain.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, not necessarily a hard counter in lane, but you feel like it should be relatively free lane for the Swain in terms of just getting that passive going and potentially having a pretty big spike there in the mid game.
Yeah, and I think as Swain, that's kind of all you're looking for out of your lane pretty much always. So you just want a free lane to scale and become the monstrous team fighter that he is.
All right. Yeah, it's going to be the sole AP threat on XSV for this first game. But as we discussed, it's not a super tanky composition for the side of Tilt. So we'll have to see how that does go. We're into the spectator delay now, guys. Sorry about that little bit of a delay. We had some issues with, I believe, the lobby crashed once or twice there. But we've got it all sorted out now. So before we go into break here, Storm, which side do you prefer? Do you feel like either one of these teams got an advantage coming out of the drafting phase for game number 1?
Yeah, it's really hard to call. So much of this game is going to come down to, I feel like, this top lane matchup of, is Gwen ahead enough to threaten towers, and does Cassante have to match them, or is it just going to be these 5v5 team fights? I'm going to lean more towards the side of XSV greed. I like Cassante into most of the champions on tilt other than the Gwen, and I think he's going to just be so hard for them to take down that they're my picks to take this one, game 1.
All right, we'll see, guys, what Weatherneck can show us with the R5 Gwen, but it's probably going to have to be something special for Tilt to actually come away with a win in this one against the power of the Cassante. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back with our first game of the night. All right, everybody, welcome on to the Rift, our first game of the night between Tilt World Enders and XSV Greed. Got XSV Greed on the blue side for this first one, and the World Enders over there on red. Anything to take note of here at level 1, Storm?
As always, like I mentioned, Braum is probably the best level 1 champion in the game, just in overall comps. So something you always have to be kind of careful for and looking at. But we're just seeing the classic 5-point from both teams, just staring at each other menacingly.
Indeed. I did pull up Weatherneck's stats on the Gwen. According to op.gg, at least on the main account, we have 5 games of Gwen in solo queue this season, and we have won 3 of them for Weatherneck. So not the biggest of sample sizes, but yeah, certainly not bad. And we'll see what we are going to be able to get done into the Cassante. It is the Ghost, as you were predicting, Storm. So is going to mean that Weatherneck has to be a little bit careful about overextending, but is, of course, a shorter cooldown than the Flash. So that can be useful. Looks like we're going to have a topside start for both of our junglers. So this is also what you were expecting, Storm, that they're going to be pathing down towards that bottom lane.
Yep. Pretty average. Zinzao should be kind of faster on his first clear, but Jarvan as well has a pretty fast first clear. Doesn't really get down there until kind of that second and third clear when he is forced to start building those yucky tank items instead of those delicious one-shot items that he so desperately craves.
Indeed. I did want to mention as well that we do actually have differing predictions for the outcome of this match, Storm. I actually threw my vote behind the World Enders. I thought that they are a little bit favored coming into this matchup, but you actually felt like XSV Greed were the more consistent team based on these first couple of weeks that we've seen.
Yeah, just from what I had seen out of the games, the World Enders have won games very, very hard, and they have lost games very, very hard. So XSV Greed, I think, is just overall has a little bit more consistency to them, and we're going to have to see what we see outside of Tilt today. Do you see Jarvan is ahead on his clear early on, just some trading going on in all the lanes, nothing all that exciting happening so far.
I don't believe we had any early vision get placed in the respective jungles, so both junglers are still unspotted so far. Is that slight tempo advantage for S13, as you just mentioned, slightly faster on this first clear. We'll have to see. It looks like this bot wave is slowly pushing in towards Tilt, as is often the case with Tristana, right? You don't really have any option except to push the wave, so makes sense. That is what we are seeing.
Yeah. And first scuttle is coming up. Will be interesting to see if Jarvan decides if they're just going to go for a cheap gank or they start the scuttle.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be S13 securing the shellfish. But not necessarily going to be looking towards this. Oh my god, we've got a dead Cassante. That's why you oohed.
Yeah, exactly.
We totally missed that. Yeah, move into the mid lane now for S13, but a play being set up by Bone down here in the bottom lane. Zinzao on the wraparound. Slayer in trouble with the explosive charge already on. Flash burned, but the Jinx is still going to be going down. So that is not first blood, because that was picked up by Weatherneck in the 1v1. But it does mean we're tied up now at 1 kill apiece.
Yeah, Jarvan wasn't down here to answer the kill on Jinx, as your lane is unfortunately has to push out. But interesting to see that Gwen does get that really, really early solo kill, which is awesome to see. Both top laners kind of trading summoner spells. Gwen expended the Ghost, I'm guessing, to chase down Cassante after he flashed away. And that's what you really want to see out of Weatherneck, and get this carry going, get this Gwen train rolling.
Absolutely. So we needed to see from this R5 Gwen, exactly right there, Storm. Have to see if Weatherneck's going to be able to keep up the pressure. The jungler is now starting up their second clears. Goober going to be able to find a little bit of a trade there, and then it gets snipped in return.
Yeah, but Grubs and the first dragon of the game are coming up here in just a couple of seconds. It'll be interesting to see what side both these junglers play for. Whether we're going to see an early contest towards one of these objectives, or if they're just going to be a simple trade.
Hubert with the Q3, going to find the knockback onto Weatherneck. The Gwen has the snip stacked up once again. It's so close for the skip and slash. Those are those Gwen buffs. That's why she's so strong on this patch, Storm. That is the laning prowess of the Gwen. Weatherneck now 2-0.
Yep, turns out that when you make a hyperscaling champion better in the early game, they're pretty good overall, so
who would have
really
thought?
Great to see.
Absolutely crazy. But yeah, Spoobert feeling the pain on that one. It's going to have to start playing that lane out a little bit safer. I mean, you have to appreciate the fact that it was really close, and if Cassante managed to find that solo kill somehow, would have done a lot to sort of stabilize this game for XSV, but realistically, probably a mistake from Spoobert to go for that 1v1, right?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Just your job is to lose graciously in this lane. Just come out of the game being down a little bit of CS, get your early MR so that you're able to start building that armor for the rest of the team is kind of stacking, and just get on top of this Jinx. Your job isn't really to beat Gwen. It's to lose not hard.
We'll have to see if he's going to be able to start losing less harder as an engage comes out from Bone once again, but the Braum is just going to be able to stand beside his Jinx. Now the concussive blows stacked up onto the Rel. Bone down to about 50%, but Satan wants none of it. The Jarvan actually looks like he wants to move up towards these grubs. Probably going to be this first dragon given over to Greed.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. We do see Ahri is moving down to get some vision just towards the scuttle, but Star Burrito is out of mana, so I'm not sure how much this play will continue, but we do have Braum moving up. As well as Rel.
Yeah. There's a lot of players congregating actually in this bottom part of the river. Slayer, though, separated off to the side, gets jumped on by the Tristana. No flash on the Jinx! And Slayer's just going to get taken down. It's going to be a kill for Ziggy. Teleport in now from Weatherneck, but this is the turtle port, as it is often referred to, and this is an outman fight, as I don't know if the side of the Tilt World Enders really want this one, as Gwen's gonna get taken down. Oh, that is one back for Tilt, and AO is going down so low, but it was always gonna be a tough fight. Tilt wanting that one after they'd already lost their Jinx, and they do get punished for it.
And as we say in the business, it's a disaster. I mean, that's so bad for the side of Gwen. With no TP, Cassante crashes this huge wave. We do see Ahri is able to go in here.
Can't find the charm. The last charge on the Spirit Rush is going to be enough. The Swain, the damage is going to be there. Star Burrito gets the shutdown. Her first kill of the game, and does prevent that dragon from going over. But still, yeah, this top lane now, all of a sudden, Spoobert is right back into a very comfortable position. Gifted basically his way back into the game.
Yeah, and Tristana with this huge early, kind of lead. Even though they are even in farm, those 2 kills just accelerates you to your first item so much faster and just allows you to start jumping onto this Jinx. Whose flash is just coming up, so hopefully that will be safe for her. We will be able to keep ourselves safer on the side of Slayer.
2 grubs secured for Satan. Has Smite. Is going to be able to lock down that third one. Do we get the flag and drag back? Has to flash over the wall. Is not going to get struck by lightning there, although Star Burrito might be in a little bit of trouble. Doesn't have the ultimate, but is going to be able to walk that one off. It's back underneath the turret, so that is going to be the first neutral objective of the game, taken by Tilt unanswered, as AO was not I guess, aware that that was happening. So this first dragon is still up and available.
Yeah. A great play on the side of Tilt after kind of that disaster that they were able to get something.
Oh, yeah, we're coming out. Flash away from Spoobert as Weatherneck actually holding on to the Ghost for now. The snips might just be enough, but Spoobert goes all out, trying to find the outplay, the Q3! Spoobert finds the solo kill.
And that was a really awesome play. We used the flash to dodge some of the Gwen snips, and the ult to dodge the final burst from Spoobert. That was extremely well played.
Absolutely. Yeah, Cassante really styling on Weatherneck up there in the top lane. I feel like the Gwen, you needed to pop the Ghost earlier if you're looking for that all in, right? The fact that he popped it so late, still got hit by the Q3s. You got to fight in the river now. Star Burrito with Spirit Rush to create that little bit of distance. Goes back in, gets hit by the Magnet Storm. Look at Ziggy, finds like a 4-man buster shot. How did that even happen? And XSV are just running over him in the team fight. It's a double kill for the Tristana. Tilt are just gonna, their own world just ended, it looks like.
Yeah, I can't think of almost a worst case scenario. Seeing a Tristana at 4-0-3, 10 minutes into the game with your first item completed. That's scary, scary territory.
Yeah, and this is the E-sub, remember, for XSV as well. Ziggy is not a member of the starting roster. Maybe he will be after this week, because it's been pretty nutty Tristana play so far.
Yeah, and we see Spoobert has gotten their first item completed already, getting this early Kenic Rookern to get some preferential trades up top lane, and is just able to kind of wait it out and just get kind of this beatdown on Gwen until she's able to get her vamp item.
I feel like that's such a great first item for the Cassante in this game against double AP solo laners. Oh, the value. As S13 does not do magic damage. We'll see what the Jarvan's going to be able to make happen. Ganking a Cassante, though, you know, is never something that I really relish. As a jungler, Spoobert does find the Q3 there onto Weatherneck. Just is going to be able to dash away pretty comfortably. And Star Burrito is now here as well. We have two people ganking the Cassante. And he's still Cassante. So,
yep.
You know.
On the other side of the map, we do see Xin Zhao was looking for something bot lane, didn't find anything. Just going to take a quick reset so that they can start their top side clear.
All right. Well, I got about a 1.5k lead for Greed. Let's take a look at the individual gold, though, because I feel like the AD carry matchup, yeah, that's most of that 1.5k lead is just isolated between the AD carries. So that's going to be feeling pretty good for the XSV fans out there.
Yeah. One thing I would like to throw is Xin Zhao here and Jarvan are basically tied in gold, which isn't really what you want to see on the side of Xin Zhao. Would like to be ahead of your lane opponent because you are such an all-in fighter that it is harder and harder as the game goes on to contribute. You see great trades here.
Star Burrito going to get pulled in by the Never Move. Spirit Rush is available. So the Burrito not in too much trouble of getting eaten at this very moment. There's some more jokes there. I'm going to have to brainstorm some Burrito puns. But we'll revisit that.
Grubs spawned, XSV right on top of them as they are up. Don't think there's anywhere for Tilt to get in here.
Yeah. Pretty
tough.
tough.
Anyone's even going to try for a steal. I doubt we even see a Jinx Rocket at this point.
So, yeah, no Twitch chatters. It looks like going to be on the Rift in this first one. We're going to be very, very even. 3 grubs apiece. And we'll have to see about this next dragon. It's still a couple of minutes out. That first dragon was pretty delayed on that initial dragon take. So, you know, even if XSV Greed do get the second one as well, it's going to be a little while until the actual soul threat becomes a thing. We'll have to see about that. Ziggy in 1v2 right now is going to get the reset on the jump. Slayer down to 50%. The Buster Shot is just committed there for the extra space, but the concussive blows into the Glacial Fissure, and Ziggy overstepped. That is going to be a huge shutdown over to Slayer, who did go down to about 100 health. Was very close to dying there, but in the end, they are able to make it happen. They get the punish onto Ziggy, and that is some much-needed gold for the Jinx.
Yeah, Slayer with nerves of steel there had their barrier and went, no, I live this. That's fine. What a crazy play.
Yeah, so that is going to equalize the gold. We're dead even once again after that shutdown has gone over. And about 1 minute now on the Drake.
Yeah, some meaningless tanks hitting each other top lane. Oh, we do see
Gwen's tank now. Weatherneck is going to get all outed as Spoobert underneath the turret. He's Cassante. Yeah, okay. Okay, Spoobert.
Never mind.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, he can just, of course he can do that. Yeah, he just is going to dive the turret and solo kill Gwen again, obviously.
Yeah, my mistake. It wasn't meaningless trades. It was a solo kill angle.
Yeah, we knew that the whole time, actually. We were just testing you. As, all right, we got a little bit of a bush camp coming through here as the Brahma is getting engaged on, and he is going to be able to jump over to the Jinx and just barely gets away for neglect there. And that should be river control. Star Burrito's poking her head in, seeing if she can get any info for the team. You know, he's very slippery, of course, on this Ahri, but realistically, I don't really know if Tilt's going to be able to contest this one.
They're coming. They pulled Gwen. They went, we're fighting this one. So
yeah, we don't have teleport this time for the Gwen, so we're going to have to hoof it down here. Join in the play. Star Burrito with the Spirit Rush. Flashes away from the crash down. Pretty well played by the Burrito. is going to be able to get out to safety, but that's ult and flash down now for the mid laner. As the EQ is not going to land onto Brother Otter, goes into Demonic Ascension, and they've trying to engage onto the Swain, who is surviving for a while. They do eventually take him down, but the Jinx has been traded back. The Crashdown once again coming out from Bone. The Tilt, they look to be winning out in the team fight. That's going to be a kill onto the Tristana as well. Tilt World Enders. They get some redemption. Spoobert teleported down, but the Cassante is a bit late to the play. And now the last survivor trying to get away, but the World Ender's not willing to let him go. Is he going to be able to Cassante his way out of this one? Absolutely not. A shutdown over the Weather Neck, and it's going to be a 5-for-2 team fight. Tilt massively on top.
Yeah, just that issue there of Cassante not having a direct way to get into the game and not being there first. As a tank, it's kind of your job to be that first person absorbing all of that damage. Gwen, with the first move, really risky proposition, but was able to get those kills, get themselves really far back into the game. And that's a Dragon concern, which really slows the game down, which is great if you're the side of Tilt, having that hyper carry ADC and the side of Jinx. And having some champions that don't scale as well into the late game for the side of XSV. So you're really happy to see this if you're a Tilt fan.
Absolutely, yeah, and credit to Weatherneck there, and all of Tilt. That was clearly a very coordinated call, right? They knew well in advance that they were going to want to contest that Dragon. So Weatherneck just immediately from base, walked down to the bottom side, and ended up being really impactful in that fight, right? The side of XSV were kind of like all clumped up there in the river, and Gwen found a ton of value with the AoE. So big moves there from Tilt. See if they're going to be able to keep it going. As Weatherneck able to deter the, obviously the Cassante, who's stronger in that lane. Needlework forced out there in the 1v1. A lot of damage done to this bot tier 1 turret. Getting dangerously close to securing first brick for XSV. Say 10, trying to engage onto a Cassante. Never a great idea. He's going to get all outed underneath the turret. Weatherneck getting back in there for some snips, but Spoobert is still wanting to fight this one into 4 people. Finds the Q3, and now does have his own mid laner moving over. His Brother Otter looking to reinforce. And on the side of Tilt are going to back away. Herald being considered now by XSV. They're going to go ahead and start this one up. Of course, Tilt are still in the area. Say 10, going to drop a flag over the wall here, or the ward, in fact, what's going to give them the information. Looks like
Yeah,
they're
the
not
full
really
collapse is coming.
Collapse actually onto the mid lane. Ziggy and Bone should be all right here. They're going to be able to back away with plenty of time. And it's going to be a free Herald over to Greed.
Yeah. No towers have fallen yet in the game, but there's several that are very low.
That was the feat of monster slaying. That was the third neutral objective for XSV. Greed looking for the engage on the mid lane now as Say 10 goes in, finds Cataclysm onto 2. It's a great setup for Slayer. The Jinx is excited, looking to take over the fight, gets in there, takes down the Xin Zhao with the help of Weatherneck, and now Brother Otter does have the ultimate, but it's just going to get CC'd up underneath the turret and burst down. Say 10 on a rampage, and Tilt are taking over.
Yeah, Tilt just seemed to be looking to be more coordinated, on the same page, knowing where to be together. You know, this is another time that Ziggy and Spoobert just aren't on the same page as the rest of their teammates, not being in a position to be able to contribute.
Absolutely. Yeah, Tilt looking like exactly like you said, Storm. They are a little bit more coordinated, a little bit more together, it looks like, in the early minutes of this one. But we have, of course, seen good moments from XSV as well. Specifically, the Cassante has been a pretty difficult problem for Tilt to try to address. We'll see moving forward in this game if Spoobert is going to be able to continue to cause some issues.
Yeah. Eventually, those base damages are going to get less and less threatening as the side of Cassante, but aren't going to see this Rift Herald should be enough to clear this mid lane tower.
Oh man, Star Burrito was very close actually to getting this first brick up in the top lane, but not quite able to find it. So that is going to be feats of strength now secured for XSV Greed as they're able to get that first brick. And now the top laners going at it once again. Level advantage for Spoobert's Cassante right now, but Weatherneck unafraid of the Cassante. but he's not going to yield. Spoobert, unstoppable, can't quite find the CC there onto the Gwen. The Needlework doing a good amount of damage. Q3 sidestepped there by Weatherneck very nicely. Should have the snips to finish the job, and there it is. Oh dear, Spoobert flashing there as well. And also Star Burrito didn't even need the flash. He's going to use it just to send a message. Is going to be able to find a solo kill up there in the top lane as well. So that's a couple of quick ones for the World Enders. They're onto the Otacon.
Yeah, just everything is falling apart. This really super fed Tristana, who's kind of the backbone of your team, just hasn't been in anything in the past couple of fights. He's just been totally ineffective. And yeah, that's a major advantage for Tilt, getting so much XP and gold, and hopefully just giving you more and more time and ability to scale into this game. XSV's curtain is really quickly closing. It's got to be in this next couple of fights that you're able to just burn Jinx's flash and make sure that you're able to get on top of her. This next dragon is spawning here really soon. It's going to be interesting to see if XSV choose to just give this one over. I would imagine, as they have very little kind of information available to them. It's just littered with wards on the side of Tilt.
Absolutely. Always good to see teams do their due diligence, right? Set up that vision control to make sure it's safe to take the objective and they're not going to be contested. But yeah, I mean, I've felt like, you know, what we might be seeing here, we have to consider that, you know, again, Ziggy is an E-sub tonight. That might be part of the reason why XSV look a little bit more uncoordinated. They're just not used to playing together as a five-man group, right? So that might be a factor in these last couple of sequences that we've seen.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see. We see like every single member of this team is kind of in this top side. They have cleared this top lane like quadrant of the map in response to this dragon, and are hopefully going to get this top lane tower here. Rel does have demolished. Just one more auto. There we go. And Tristana is able to answer this mid lane push, but again, that wasn't a lot that was taken, right? That tower was probably going to die in the next couple of minutes.
Yeah. I think Tilt pretty happy with the dragon side of it. It is a Chemtech soul this game, so not our favorite soul necessarily. And honestly, it's a soul that probably would be much, much better for the side of XSV Greed, given these team compositions. But they are not the ones with control over the map right now, so they're going to have to do their best to try to contest that next dragon. Comes up in a while. Yeah, it is about almost 5,000 gold lead for Tilt at the moment.
You do see that cheeky steal there from S13 after getting his own red buff stolen, just takes away the one from AU.
Oh, very nice. Is it AU or AO? I thought we were going with AO.
AO? Okay,
I thought so. AO is going to die forward, pops the Crescent Guard, has to flash out of the Cataclysm, though the Needlework's still doing a decent amount of damage, as now they're jumping on top of the Cassante. They are going to be able to take down Spoobert, and Weatherneck is ignited, but is going to be able to ghost away from the fight. Super Mega Deathrock is going to take the kill onto the Xin Zhao, who wasn't guarding anymore. The Crescent was down. And now Slayer, with the passive running, gets the concussive blows over the wall. The Swain flashes away and still goes down to the last auto attack. Slayer gets the triple kill. Star Burrito chasing very deep for this one. Is going to get the flash out from Ziggy. Another massive team fight win for Tilt.
Man, and that whole fight was just uptime from the Tristana, just pumping damage into people. But Tilt are far enough ahead right now that just didn't do anything. And, you know, that fight was just kind of indicative of how this game is going to progress.
It was a great engage from S13. You know, great setup there with the Cataclysm. Slayer was in a great position, was also able to hit for pretty much that entire fight, right? So, you know, in a battle between the two AD carries, they're both on 2 items, right? And the reality is that the rest of Tilt, like you said, they just have that little bit of a lead that allowed them to come out on top in another fight. And I guess we probably have reached the point now where XSV, it's just going to be really difficult for them to ever win in a straight-up 5v5.
Yeah, at this point, you just got to start looking for those things where, how are you able to get, you know, an advantage somewhere, you know? Are you able to pick off a support who's warding ahead of their team? Are you able to get an AD carry who's, you know, rotating in between lanes to catch fawn? Can you find this Gwen and be able to pick them off early? That's what you have to start looking for, is not these big wins now, but smaller wins. as this Baron dance starts, how are you able to kind of keep your jungle away and warded? And we're gonna see how the Baron dance goes.
Let's see. Everybody get your shoes on. Ready to do some two-stepping. Got contesting over the mid wave. Name of the game at the moment. As we do have to start considering this next dragon spawn now as well. Our second contact dragon going to be in just over a minute. But of course, as we can see for Tilt right now, it is controlled over the top side of the map is what they are looking for, where the neck is in this top lane, pushed all the way up. Hubert finds the Q3, decent damage onto the Gwen there, looking for the angle to actually go for the all-out here, but Weatherneck is very okay taking this fight. The Gastante, though, is very close to getting another solo kill. The Glacial Fisher from long range is just barely enough as Weatherneck walks away. Oh, the explosive charge is going to get the kill, so both top laners get taken down, but the Baron has been started in the meantime by Tilt. The Super Scryer is going to get that information, but Star Burrito's running some interference over here on the side, and I don't know if Greed... Oh, man, that Baron just got melted by the Jinx. And that is a huge pickup for Tilt.
Yeah, that's a trade you take every day of the week and twice on Sunday. I mean, a 1-for-1 even? Like, that wasn't even a trade. That's just straight up, hey, we took Baron, by the way. And it's 15 seconds till this dragon comes up. You just walk it down mid. You get mid lane priority before this dragon comes up, and you don't fight it with your Baron, right? No, we just fight with Baron. That's fine too. Whatever.
Yeah, this is the Emerald League. You know,
Yeah.
we do love our team fights. We'll have to see how the next one does go. 'Cause our scoreboard was really nervous, as we saw a moment ago. Freaking out a little bit over how well that last sequence was, how good it was for Tilt. But now let's see. They have started up the dragon. Let's see if XSV Greed are going to be able to get themselves into a position to contest. We've got Bone and Io on the wraparound, but they're not able to get anywhere close to that pit. There's going to be some spectator gameplay there for us as well as for XSV. They just watch the objective go over.
Yeah, I mean, I guess as a side of XSV, you got the lanes pushed out. It's like you're not losing anything with this Baron so far, but again, I don't see how they get back into this game without some sort of pick and Tilt making a mistake more than them making the winning play.
Yeah, well, let's see now what Tilt are going to be able to get done. They've got this Baron buff on for about 80 seconds still. They've got 4 men in the mid lane. They've got Weatherneck's Gwen off on the side there on the bottom part of the map. Mid-tier 2 going to get taken down. And the minion waves are pretty close to synced. Mid wave is just a little bit ahead. Weatherneck actually hovering towards mid right now, thinking that there might be a fight about to break out. But does mean that Super is going to be able to clear out that bot wave for free.
Yeah.
As, oh, that's a charm landing and a lot of damage on a Brother Otter. Goes into the Ascension and still going to get taken down. Really nice setup there from Star. They take the tier 3 turret as well. Jinx is excited. Look at Slayer kiting forward. Bone jumps down, crashes down. That shield barely keeps the Rel alive, but Bone cannot participate in this fight. All of XSV going to get pushed back to their fountain as Baron's still on for 30 seconds. Star Burrito looking. That's the flash away for Ayo. The flash forward for Slayer might be a bit too far as the Jinx now is going to get taken down. Stay 10 commits to the Cataclysm, but they've already lost their AD carry. Weatherneck might be able to carry through the team fight anyways as the snips come through. Double kill over to Weather, and Spoobert now the last XSV member standing, finds the Q3, but only has one Nexus turret left to work with. Is helping out as Weatherneck is down low. The concussive blows, though, and the snip. Spoobert trying to get back to the fountain. Oh, barely will survive, but the Nexus will not. Less than 30 minutes on the game clock. Tilt World Enders take game 1.
Yeah. I mean, it was a little aggressive at the end there with the flashes forward on our carries, but it's in it. You got the win. You showed that even though your early game was pretty much a disaster, there was tons going right for you in the mid game. Tilt made the correct decisions. They knew, we can be at this dragon fight early, and if we engage before Cassante gets here, we know we have the damage to just be able to clean up this team. And that was really the huge turning point of this game.
Yeah, it definitely was. That second dragon fight, I think, the one you're referencing, right, Storm?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to wonder, if Spoobert had been there at the beginning of that fight, if it would have looked differently, right? Because at that point, I believe Ziggy was like 4-0 or something on the Tristana. And,
Right.
the side of XSV did have a little bit of a lead prior to that fight. But yeah, I mean, it definitely, and we said it during the call as well, right? Just the fact that Tilt clearly had more of a plan for that specific play, and it really did snowball into allowing them to take back control of the game. And once that happened, it felt like they were very coordinated in how they were able to close things out. Who are you looking towards Storm in terms of a game one POG? Who would get your vote?
I mean, it's hard to look at this team and not say it's Leatherneck on Gwen, right? Like, they kind of saved the game by being there first for that fight. They had a huge KDA. They did, I think, the most damage in that game, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe
They
so.
played really well.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And that was the pick that we were saying that draft for Tilt really relied on the Gwen having a good game, right? So the fact that Weatherneck was able to make that happen, I do think is a very solid reason to go in that direction for the POG. I do think that Star Burrito had some great setups in that game as well. But yes, a very solid vote there, I think, for Weatherneck. Perfectly fine. As we're probably going to be getting into this second game in just a moment. Any other thoughts about Game 1, Storm, before we go into another quick break?
Um, no, I'm hoping that we don't see an E-sub for this whole series. As always, wish the teams are able to have their full rosters together, but we'll see as the games continue.
We will see. We will see. We'll be right back, guys, for Game 2. All right, everybody, welcome back. Storm, your prayers have been answered. No more E-sub. Kaz is back for game number 2.
Always great to see. Hopefully that gives XSV some more of their coordination back and they're able to play together as a team more. I, of course, predicted them to win, so I must predict for them to win in every
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, unfortunately, your prediction for our streamed match last week didn't work out so well, Storm. So starting out 0-2 for you would be pretty rough. You know, my co-caster for last season of Emerald as well famously did struggle quite a bit with his predictions. We actually had a bit going. I don't know if you remember, Storm, if you watched much of last season, but we had a bit going where he was actually competing against his cats for who are going to be able to get more predictions correct by the end of the season. And I believe the Cats did win, but I'd have to go back and double check.
That's crazy to hear,
Yeah.
but hopefully I will not do that badly this year. And I
Hopefully.
will continue to throw the curse where it lands.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
so
obviously why he's. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. We have gotten through the draft. Bans are through. See, Tilt have changed up their bans. Not almost not at all. Wukong was banned by XSV. They actually have bans, so that's why things are different.
True.
Varus as well getting taken out, and we see first pick Aurora.
All right. So there is one difference. Is the Wukong was banned away by Tilt in the last game? That is now going to
Yeah.
be banned away by XSV, still on the red side. So it does mean the Aurora is going to get taken there on the B1, like you mentioned, Storm. And now we're going to see the Nocturne come through for XSV. Wow. You know, I do feel like Nocturne is reasonably strong right now, but I really don't think he's a very good blind pick. What do you make of it?
Isn't Nocturne Aurora kind of like a bit of a combo thing? Just you're able to
Could see it.
you to Nocturne ult, no one can see what the hell is happening, and then your Aurora ult, and it's just like the unavoidable damage almost. Kind of similar
Yeah.
to the Kennen thing we were seeing last time on stream. The Orianna does get locked in with the Nocturne. Maybe we'll see that combo. Hopefully they know how to pull it off, and we don't see sombreros all over the place.
Yeah.
But that is a really, really strong combination if you actually know the timing of just you randomly get ulted by an Orianna ball that you almost cannot react to.
This is a pretty good answer, though, coming out from
Yeah.
Tilt. The Xayah, I do feel like, is probably one of the best AD carries you could play into that combo. It's even better than something like the Ezreal, because with Ezreal, you would have to, like, pixel perfect, like, down to the millisecond, you would have to time the arcane shift to not actually get hit by the shockwave, right? With the Xayah, it's a little bit more forgiving there on the timing because she, hangs out up there in the air for a little bit longer. So that is one way that Tilt could try to avoid that Nocturne
Yeah.
Orianna combo. And the
Yeah,
Rakan
and
going to get locked in as well.
I think Xayah should be good into it, and as long as you have the reaction speed, and I trust Slayer as being an Emerald ADC should have the timing down to be able to avoid the Nocturne hitting onto them with the Ori ball. Rakan taken with them just to give you that really strong duo kind of pairing.
Okay.
Yona, the answer that we're gonna see. Again, it's fine. It's fairly strong in the Rakan, kind of stops Rakan from being able to go forward as much and make plays.
And it is also a pick that can potentially force out that Xayah ultimate, right? You can just kind of fish with the Solar Flare. If you can get the Xayah ultimate on cooldown, then no more tools to avoid the Nocturne Orianna combo. So
Yeah, and
could be an angle.
and does work as an additional ball delivery system as well.
True.
Not as useful as like the Alistar or something like that, but does work in a pinch. See XSV going after these round 2 bans again. Um, same as last time. We saw this Aatrox ban yet again. Gonna see the Nefiri this time. That does make sense as Tilta's locked in an AP mid laner. Oh, gonna go for a Mumu instead.
Interesting. It does make sense for Tilt that they are going to want to focus the AD carry pools. Obviously, they have their AD carry already. XSV still needing to lock something in for their starting AD carry, Kaz, who, as we mentioned, is back for this second game. Something alongside the Leona here. The pool honestly hasn't been pinched that severely. What would be strong? What's a strong lane with Leona? There's lots of options. I'm just kind of blanking right now.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering what you're going to go. Sivir, sure, that works. Gives you the opportunity. Is one of the weaknesses of Science. She doesn't have the greatest wave clear. And range. Sivir has probably equal range, but that's always the weakness of Sivir, so kind of making that out. And we do see the Skarner has been locked in on the side of Tilt, and they are just hovering some top laners, trying to bait us. I will not talk about whatever until it is officially locked in.
Well, we can talk about the Skarner. That has
Yeah.
been locked in. Skarner, a few patches ago was the king of the jungle, right? He was pick or ban at like all levels of play, super overpowered. He's been nerfed quite a few times since then. Where are you at in regards to the Skarner these days?
I feel like they broke 7 of his 8 legs, and he is on
Mm-hmm.
life support.
Yeah.
I feel that champion is a bit of an abomination, and they failed in his redesign. I think he's really cool, and I like individual aspects of his kit, but altogether, he's just one of those champions who will always be a problem. And Tilt decided to go with this Jax blind pick.
Yeah.
XSV gonna answer with Urgot into it, which is a
Okay.
really skill intensive matchup.
Yeah, I mean, we did see these top laners really going at it, right? In the previous game, it was Spoobert who had to blind pick, who was on the Cassante, and then Weatherneck was able to get the R5 Gwen. We saw solo kills, I believe, in both directions at various points of that last game. So not too surprising to see that both top laners would want to opt into, a more carry-oriented pick for this game
Yeah.
number 2.
Yeah, it is one of those things that as Jax, you're able to get a ton of Counter Strike damage off because of how Urgot's W works and the multiple auto attacks, but Urgot as well, just in the straight kind of stat checking department, is the stat checkiest almost of the top laners, right? With that leg damage being so high, the ability to stun you and buffer through Jax's stun. It is a really volatile matchup from the few times that I have played it, but is very, very Urgot flavored as towards the early game.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, we'll have to see if Weatherneck is going to be willing to play this out a little bit more patiently in the early minutes. Because definitely, if Urgot ends up with like a big lead, that could have a really big impact on the game moving into the mid game. But what are our expectations for this Skarner? For the Nocturne, it's obviously, you're almost always going to be wanting to just power farm until you get up to that level 6 mark, right? Is really when you become more of a real sort of champion. And that's when you're going to unlock the power with your mid laner as well, once you both have access to that ultimate. But Skarner, I do think, has some more options, right, in terms of how he wants to play out the early portions of this game. What do you think Say 10 is going to be looking for in the early minutes of this one?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say. I don't really know is the Skarner where you're looking to go because Zaya Rakan into Leona Sivir. I don't think you're ever getting on top of Sivir with her spell shield being down. Um, that should just be something that Sivir is kind of always able to live through that gank. Skarner doesn't gank mid lane traditionally all that well unless he's going for like an actual tower dive, which is risky, but Aurora does offer that kind of constant DPS to poke people down, so that maybe is an option. Um, I think Skarner definitely is going to be playing more to try and make sure that he's matching Nocturne and like not getting counter jungled. I doubt we're going to see any sort of risky early game from Tilt
Makes
towards
sense.
that, and just you trade whatever objective Nocturne decides to give you. Nocturne wants grubs, you go okay, Dragon time kind of thing.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I feel like both sides have a lot of nice team fighting tools, right? And
Yeah,
for Tilt, they do have the Jax as like a bit of a side lane option later on. Can be a bit of a threat towards those side lane turrets. Once he gets his first couple of items, the
yeah.
Jax can do some stuff there.
I think
But
Urgot is just as effective on the side, to be
mm,
honest with you. Once you have 9, you have that level, those 3 ticks in your autos to really mess up turrets if you're given the free time on them. So I'm expecting those two are just going to be matching the entire game. I feel like if Jax is able to kind of swap that he's fighting Ori while Urgot is forced to fight Aurora, Urgot will be absolutely miserable.
Mm. Okay, so expecting lane assignments to be really, really important then moving into the mid game, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and again,
Mm.
Ori definitely wants to be towards this Leon and Sivir. I think Sivir is actually probably one of the best picks of SSP's draft, just because Tilt doesn't have that much, like, tower damage and poke. Like, the ability to just delete these waves on repeat as Sivir and kind of get that 400 CS 6-item dream that Sivir never gets to nowadays, it almost feels like. Um, is something almost achievable. Same with Ori is able to just delete waves, and Tilt doesn't have like the greatest way to start the game, right? Like if Tilt are going in with Rakan and Aurora, I feel like they're playing right into the hands of XSV. So I'm expecting
Mm.
it's going to be XSV trying to start most of the fights this game and Tilt reacting to them. It's almost a game I
Okay.
feel of chicken of who's going to be going in first.
Interesting. Yeah, it does. I really like what you were saying about the Sivir there. The fact that you can just kind of anchor probably in the mid lane, most likely, right, for Kaz, and just perma wave clear. Does mean that you can then play really aggressively towards sides with your Nocturne, right? If mid lane is just stable,
Yeah.
then that could be really, really great for XSV. And it does feel like that's probably what's going to end up determining this game, right? If the Nocturne or Orianna are going to be able to find those picks in the mid game.
Yeah, I mean, as always, as Nocturne, the champion is pretty much loaded 90% of his power into that ultimate button. So we're gonna see how effective these Nocturne ganks are. The first Nocturne ult of the game generally decides how the Nocturne's gonna win the game. So it'll be interesting to see as this game goes on. I think side lanes should be interesting. There's gonna be plenty of outplay potential in all of this, but I think this one could go late. Um,
Mm.
I actually am gonna favor Tilt this game, to be honest with you.
Wow.
They
But
had
that
the
your
core.
prediction storm.
Yeah, exactly. But my prediction will be wrong, and it's you see a double chance for it to just go to game 3. The caster cursed. I'm laying it on thick. But anyway, I actually think Tilt has a good chance this game. I think the Skarner is going to be not like effective at dealing damage, but just the ability to soak up time from everyone on XSV. Just the ability to be able to face tank and these things will be really momentous. And I think Aurora does have a lot of time to be able to get this kind of poke off and see if they can get this burst, and has the ability for Star Burrito.
Mm. Interesting. Well, yeah, sounds like there are some strong elements for both of these drafts, but perhaps a little bit more of an execution barrier on the side of XSV. Tilt were able to take the victory in game number 1, but XSV Greed have their starting AD carry back on the Rift for the second game. Let's see if it's going to be enough to get them to game number 3, and we'll see which one of Storm's predictions is going to be correct. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Alrighty, folks, welcome back onto the good old Rift of Summoning for our second game of the night. We are, of course, swapping up the sides for this one, as we always do here in the Blue Otter League. So Tilt trying their hand from blue, and XSV needing to bounce back on red.
Yeah, we're going to see both teams just spread out, go for this 5-point. Maybe we're going to get some dancing this time. AU did desecrate that last time by throwing his flag at Satan.
Ooh, that must
Does
be
it
why they
again.
lost. Oh dear.
It's bad manners.
That is a bad omen, I think, for the start of this one. Satan is going to respond by missing a rock. So maybe that's going to even things up. Oh, and actually another Dustbringer landing for AO. So the early skill shots were a little bit more calibrated to start out this one for the Nocturne. But, you know, his ultimate is actually just a point-and-click ability. No aiming required for that one, so I don't know if it's really going to end up being that consequential.
Yeah, it is interesting to see that we do see the Zyra Khan grouped up looking for this level 1 fight. I wish Urgot was pushing more forward and kind of looking for this on Jax. Urgot, it's kind of always that weird thing of at level 1 you don't want to hit the first 3 minions to waste one of your little mini legs. Oh, here we go.
Neglect not going to find the grand entrance, but they still get a little bit of damage down onto Bone. And I'll be really interested.
Did we just see a Q start on Urgot? What the hell is going on?
Uh-oh. Well, he is doing some damage to Weatherneck right now. Actually, he's doing quite a lot of damage to Weatherneck right now, who's already down to less than half. So, I mean, it seems like it's working out okay.
Yeah.
Level 2 first for the Zyra Khan, and also for the Jax. And is going to be able to get back a lot of that damage. So the health bar is going to be evened up now in the top lane. Both junglers are pathing up here this time around, Storm. We're going to have some possibilities of some early ganks in this Jax-Urgot matchup.
Yeah, both champions provide some CC and a lot of setup potential. Star Burrito is getting this push early, able to get that free hit damage. Weatherneck getting really, really close to being able to dive Spoobert here.
Oh,
I mean, that top laner dilemma where you just go, I'm going to kill you and you're going to lose this wave.
Oh,
and
God, he's going to
go
for it, isn't he? Oh, the flash away for Spoobert. The Leap Strike. Oh, no. Oh, Spoobert. Oh, Spoobert. You needed to stay. Oh, oh, Spoobert. Oh, Spoobert.
Oh, and Nocturne even skipped a camp. Or, oh, no, he didn't. Thank God. Okay, never mind. But that's still bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Looking good for my
predictions. You wanted to flash. That's true. That's true. Your game 2 prediction is in a pretty good spot right now. But yes, the Urgot, I think it would have been a much higher chance of that not going so terribly if he flashed still like to the other side of the turret, right? So then Jax still has the turret aggro instead of giving Weatherneck a free leap strike target to get out of turret aggro and also kill you. Was kind of where things went wrong there. And now Spoobert has no flash and is getting pulled around by a Scorpion. And there is a big minion wave here, but I don't think that's going to be enough to turn things around in the Urgot's favor. Should be another kill for Weatherneck, and there it is, 2-0 on the Jax. 4 minutes into the game, Storm.
Yep. And this is the part where, as a top laner, you start screaming quite loudly into your microphone.
Just like incoherent screaming.
Yes.
Okay.
And we even see Jax doing the correct thing, keeping this wave frozen, resetting, TPing.
Oh, wow. Oh, the wave is going to crash, though, it looks like. I think it's crashing.
Oh.
Just a quick look up there at the top lane. Production.
Yep.
Yeah, it did crash.
Perfect.
Okay, so,
all right.
Spoobert is going to have the opportunity to play the video game in, about a minute or so. The wave's going to come back into him.
Well, that's good for his mental health. Anyway.
Walking up here, I don't know if that's the greatest of ideas, is going to be able to disdain backwards. Still going to get stunned up by the... Oh, never mind. Is not going to get stunned up. By the Counter-Strike, we're totally fine.
It's Phase Rush on Urgot.
It is.
Interesting. Thoughts? Something you generally take into ranged matchups, and it means you're playing lethality.
Okay.
do you see Starter, the first one to get onto an objective, as Nocturne is just power farming away?
So say 10, it was the top gank into the reset into Krugs into Dragon Start. And yeah, AO is just not bothered whatsoever. The Nocturne still just wants to get level 6. That's really the only thing AO is concerned about at the moment. He's like, oh my god, top lane's already a disaster. I need to get to level 6 so I can try to carry this game. As Boobert went in with the E. And it's going to die. That was, okay, maybe we actually don't look at top lane anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's a bit unfortunate up there.
Yeah, this is kind of one of the things that I have mentioned that Spoobert is famous for, is clicking on, going to websites and just saying, oh, what's the hardest, what is the counter pick for this? And just picking it and taking it. So, not going great for them.
I mean, I will say, looking at the OP.GG here, Spoobert does have 11 games on Urgot this season with a 64% win rate. So, I actually, it looks like the comfort should be there. But maybe just not into the Jax matchup? I don't know. Now, we do have Say 10 moving towards these grubs now. This could potentially be the double neutral take for Tilt. That would really solidify their control over this early game. And AO still not level 6. Looks like these grubbies are just going to be given.
Yep, we see Jax is now level 6, and now Urgot can officially never walk near them. Grubs are getting looked at. Gonna see a ward over the wall here on the side of Nocturne, maybe. Throws a cheeky Q.
Was very cheeky. I mean, there's no reason to even be up here as AO. Like what are you gonna do against this Jax right now? He's not even pushed up. He's so unafraid. Look at him, he's jumped forwards into 2 people. The fear does come out and prevent Spoobert from instantly dying. But now Say 10 is here. Like, what are we doing, guys? Why are we here? What is this?
I feel like
is AO gonna die too? Oh, Weatherneck. Oh my god. Oh, the Saint. We're flashing under the. Okay. All right. Nobody else dies. Over to you, Storm.
I feel like that's one of those things where your jungler where your top laner is going, please help me crash this wave so I don't die. I guess that's what that was. Do you see level 6
But it didn't look like they were trying to crash a wave. Okay, yeah, the quickness does come out. That's going to be the charm onto 2. Slayer holding on to the Featherstorm for now. Let's keep, well, I guess we're looking at the mid lane for right now. We got a flash away. There's the Featherstorm is going to come out. And the Blade Caller is going to shred through this. The flash to reposition this takes down the Leona. But really, the Sivir, I think, is the target we actually wanted there. Kaz is going to survive for now, but Neglect still full health on this. Rakan can't find the Grand Entrance. The flash away for Kaz keeps the Sivir on her feet. So it will end up being a 1-for-1. Slayer did get the last hit on the Leona. See what happens with this minion wave.
And we did see Brother Otter did fall mid lane to Star Burrito. Was able to get that kill as well.
And that was the flash expended by the Orianna, and it was not needed by Star Burrito. So that is the solo kill plus the flash advantage for Star. And the minion wave does look like it's in a good spot for Kaz, though. So that is a silver lining for XSV. So they need to find a few more of those silver linings. This cloud is looking pretty dark, Storm. You would know about dark clouds and that sort of thing. Right?
Yeah, have a lot of experience weather watching.
That's what I thought, yeah. As Spoobert is going to find the flip back there. Is 3 men enough to take down the Jax? The answer is yes. Okay, we've taken down the Jax. Boobert is going to get the shutdown. Say 10 is here to clear out the minion wave. Okay, so the cloud, a little less dark now. It does mean there's nobody here to defend Kaz. We do have a spell shield, and we are going to be able to clear out this minion wave. So, yeah, that's just going to be a nice overload for XSV. They take down the Fed Jax, and they've reduced the gold deficit to about 1k.
Yeah, Leona with these symbiotic souls able to get a really great roam off. Great to see them using that utility and being able to move where they're needed. Do you see this Rakan is moving towards mid lane? Ult is just coming up here. See if anything comes.
Oh, Brother Otter. No flash on the Orianna. Not a chance. Easy setup there. Very nice roam over from Neglect as both supports find a window to make an impact on the map. And now Bone might be a little bit caught out. Is going to get stunned into the wall. The Grand Entrance is there, but there's no damage here to actually take down the Leona right now. And Bone finds the Blast Cone. Get over the wall, but now Star Burrito on the roam. The Leona doesn't have Flash. The Grand Entrance is there. Star Burrito 3-0 now on this Aurora. And moving forward as well. That's a nice spell shield from Kaz to get rid of the Skarner ultimate. Pops the on the hunt, but still going to get knocked up by the Grand Entrance. And Slayer, true to his name, is going to be able to slay the Sivir. Featherstorm out, though, to get away from the shockwave of Brother Otter. So a couple ultimates going to get traded, but still it's a one-team fight for Tilt, and now they can look towards this dragon. Would be their second.
Yeah, and again, it's just more of this not on the same page
dear.
here. Spoobert is able to buffer the Jax E correctly there. Did fire the ult, though. Didn't do it when he had the E confirmed.
Oh, yeah, contest over the objective as Ayo is trying to brute force into this pit as that dragon went down to 8 health, but is going to get secured by Satan in the end, and the Nocturne's going to get secured as well, as that felt a little bit desperate for XSV. Really nice blade color there from Slayer, finds the root onto 2, but Star Burrito is very low, has to flash away from that boomerang. Good flash from the Aurora, Zenith Blade connecting onto Slayer, but another blade color gets a little bit of a root. The Xayah still on the run, and Bone is going to get taken down. So many blinking health bars on the side of Tilt. Is Kaz going to be able to clean up anybody else? Slayer, stop hitting those minions, please, Slayer. We need to retreat right now as the boomerang is going to be sidestepped. They're really playing with fire right now, our Tilt, but they are going to be able to get another win in the team fight, plus the dragon. They're up 3K now, Storm.
Yeah, like I had said, when Tilt wins hard, and this is a game where they are emphasizing that. This is just domination. 9 kills, 2 dragons, the grubs. Like, I don't know what else you want if you're Tilt right now.
Oh, yeah. We'll see if they can get the second batch of grubs as well. It is available right now. It's the only neutral on the map at the moment. We do see Kaz is going to be able to chip away at this bot tier 1 turret. Does have a canyon to work with here. Cannon to work with. To try and reduce the canyon of a deficit that they are in right now. See, I knew what I was doing the whole time.
Again, we see both AD carries, interestingly, still building the same items, different items this time, both of them building Essence Reaper, I believe that is.
Indeed.
This is, again, Tilt is continuing their domination. Looks like they're going to be able to get these 6 grubs to snowball even harder, get these side lane objectives just all the time.
Have we seen a Paranoia yet, by the way? As Ayo is in trouble, he's going to flash and still going to get impaled. Oh, dear, there's a Paranoia. But I don't think anybody on the side of Tilt is really very paranoid at the moment. There is a nice Solar Flare. It's going to lock up Slayer. Star Burrito, rather, that is, who's just got perma-CC'd underneath the turret. Spoobert. Oh, the auto attack plus the turret shot just headshots Weatherneck. So a little bit of an over-aggressive dive, perhaps, from Tilt, but Spoobert is still on a blinking health bar. They desperately want to get that last little bit of damage onto the Urgot, but I don't think Skarner and Rakan are going to be able to find it. So a little bit of a punish there for XSV. They get 2.
Yeah, Bone, again being in the right spot, able to roam, and kind of saves that play, in all honesty. That should have just been an absolute disaster, and it turned into just a fine trade, which you are the side of XSV right now, and even trade means you are winning.
Absolutely. You know, we were just talking about the gold deficit a little while ago. It was 3K. They've cut it in half. It's down to 1.5. So XSV, they're still in this one, but they are going to have to contend with, looks like we have a Cloud Soul this game, and Star Burrito is doing so much damage with this Aurora.
Yeah, that is some nasty burst damage. Oh no.
It's okay. We're disdaining backwards now. So it's going to be okay. We're doing all right. We're not opting into death anymore.
Yep.
Okay, Solar Flare going to be sidestepped by Slayer. The Featherstorm's going to be forced out as well. Rakan, Neglect. He's going to be able to dash back towards his duo. And it was a good attempt there from Bone, and pretty worthwhile, honestly, getting out the Leona ultimate traded for the Xayah ultimate. That's a good trade, right?
Yeah. Xayah ult has a ridiculously long cooldown early into the game, whereas Leona ultimate does not. Crucially, Xayah still does have Flash and Cleanse.
Yeah, thank you, production. 2 minutes, yeah. but much less than that on this next Dragon Storm, less than 1 minute, in fact. And with Cloud Soul, I mean, this feels like, I guess the jury is pretty split. Oh, Paranoia in the top lane. Let's see if this is going to work out onto Weatherneck. Oh, he jumps away. The Fear Tether is not going to be channeled, but the damage is still going to be there. Spoobert now actually on a killing spree. After a disastrous early game, the Urgot has managed to pick up 3 consecutive kills.
Yeah, and that was well played. They waited for the E to connect, got some of that damage down, waited until Jax used his Q to reposition, then used his E to get that confirmed, and waited with the damage and the stun animation to fire his ult so he could confirm that kill. That is the nice thing on Urgot when you are inting and feeding your butt off. You do get to confirm kills with your ultimate and take those shutdowns for yourself, making sure that your team can just go, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to take that.
Oh, that's the Shockwave committed by Brother Otter in the mid lane. Does chunk down Star Burrito, but the Orianna's not going to have that for this potential fight. River control for Tilt right now. See if XSV are going to be able to try to force their way in here. What I was about to ask you about, Storm, before we saw that play from AO towards the top side, is how powerful do you feel like Cloud Soul is? Because it's looking like, oh, Star Burrito's going to go for the Between Worlds here in the mid lane, and that's going to be Weatherneck finding the double stun as he jumps forward. They take down the Otter, and that is going to be the objective +1. Tilt back in control.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Cloud Soul. I think it's really, really impactful. I personally like taking Cloud Dragons quite a bit. Movement speed is a really, really important stat in League of Legends that always gets overlooked. So I'd be happy to see Cloud Soul almost always. Has no fear right now. He realizes that the game is probably on them.
Trying to brute force this tier 1 turret right now. Slayer is going to get hit by the Zenith Blade. Cleanse is going to come out there. The Impale's not going to spark very much joy. And there's a lot of damage coming out from the Zipper. In fact, the Ricochets take down Slayer. And now they don't have their AD carry, but Star Burrito has the damage to secure these kills. So the turret is going to drop, and Tilt are going to find a couple of more here in the aftermath. It's going to be Neglect end up taking the last hit on that one. This is going to be traded, as we see Weatherneck did get taken down again up there in the top lane, and the Rift Herald is going to take that tier 1 turret in the mid lane. Brother Otter getting some work done on the mid tier 1 as well. So that was an expensive play for the side of Tilt. They're actually even going to lose this tier 2. So that is actually a gold advantage play for the side of XSV, but were they a little bit too greedy, Storm? I think Spoobert is going to have to pay for this one. Although he's very fast with that phase rush. Is he really out? The flash forward for the grand entrance secures the kill, and the shutdown's going to go over to say 10.
Yeah, I mean, if Stewart had been able to get out, that play is worth it for sure. I guess having those, having that minor shutdown probably means that that play isn't totally worth it, because it just gives Jax this time to start hitting this tier 2 tower.
Oh, Slayer in trouble once again. No cleanse. The Feather Storm does come out. Kaz able to get away from the feathers, so another Xayah ultimate forced. Solar Flare is actually still available for Bone. Weatherneck, oh, very far pushed up down here in the bottom lane. Tries to jump over, but the Fear Tether brings it back over to this side of the wall. The ultimate comes out, but Weatherneck, I think, is about to drop once again. Tries to flash away, but the Paranoia from AO secures the kill. And Rakan just going to be able to forced to retreat there is Neglect. Another pick on the side lane. This Nocturne is finding some really good value.
Yeah, the top laner special. Solo kill your lane opponent 4 times in a row into being 4 and 5.
Yeah, I guess it was, yeah, Weatherneck. I'm not a top laner myself, so I'm not going to pretend to understand what goes on there between the ears for top laners. I don't know if I ever will, but the theory is Weatherneck was feeling really confident after that early game, right? Felt like he was really strong, that he can put that pressure on in the side lane, but at the end of the day, you got to respect the Nocturne, and he has not been respecting the Nocturne.
Yep. But kind of major objectives coming up. We have
Impale on to Brother Otter. We'll get back to that in just a second. Stormstar Burrito should have the damage to secure this kill. The Shockwave is pretty decent. It's had a little bit of return damage, but there is nowhere for Brother Otter to go. Slayer getting engaged on here in the mid lane. Let's get a little bit of damage down onto Bone. Does clear out the minion wave as well. So somehow that mid tier 1 is still surviving with like 10 health. But back to your point, Storm.
I was going to say, a minute 45, now just a minute 15 till this next dragon is spawning, which would be the soul for the side of Tilt Esports. Gotta feel that this mid lane turret's gotta go down. Someone just pretty much has to sneeze on it. I'm pretty sure Silver could auto that without like power plating damage and it would still die.
Yeah,
but we see Silver getting the spotlight tower at least.
Yeah, that is definitely good news for Greed. And they've pretty much tied up the golds. Despite still being down 9 kills, they're actually even in gold, thanks to all these turrets that they've been able to pick up. So we'll see how this team fight looks. We are teleporting in for Spoobert with plenty of time before the dragon spawns. Ayo, interestingly, actually still needs to make his way down here on this Nocturne. Witherneck pushing down the top lane right now, also with teleport. Brother Otter does have it as well, but the Orianna's just going to hoof it over towards the river. And it is control over that river for Greed at the moment.
And this is one of those things, as Tilt, you don't have to play for this dragon if you don't want to. If there's the option, you can let Jax get 2 towers here, right?
Yeah. I would have to imagine that that would be a trade that Tilt would be happy to accept. As S13 is going to have to flash away from Spoobert and neglect forced retreat away as well from that Zenith Blade.
Yeah, and
Dragon
you're just going to force the flip because Jax is killing your tower. You have to do something about it.
Yeah, so the engage does come out. Paranoia and Leona going in together. The Urgot going to be able to take down the enemy jungler, but Star Burrito doing so much damage onto the backline does get clipped by the Zenith Blade, and the Aurora tries to flash away, but still going to get taken down. So, Slayer going to get hit by the Q, and that's going to be another one for Spoobert. Neglect just barely able to get back into the base, but it is actually going to be 3 turrets for Weatherneck. The Urgot almost dying to the mid-inner just for funsies, but is going to be able to walk away from that one. The inhibitor is going to go down for the Jax, and XSV Greed have secured 1 Cloud Dragon. Storm, your thoughts?
I mean, what a great play. I mean, you got the combo with the
For who?
Urgot ult and everything, but I mean, like, and you lost an inhibitor? Is it worth it to take an inhibitor at this point? Like, doesn't this just mean that, like, Orianna gets the free farm up here and gets super minion waves? It's just going to deny you gold, because that's where Otacon is. It's not like it's going to be providing a whole bunch of pressure, but
yeah, the
Jax
question
gets
is,
money.
are you going to be able to use that pressure from taking the inhibitor to get other stuff on the map, right? Because if they can't use that pressure, then you're absolutely right. It's just free gold for the side of Greed. And they're just going to be able to farm that up very comfortably. So we need, like, Tilt with that play, it feels like they've kind of committed to upping the tempo in the next over the next several minutes, right? They need to be starting to put on the pressure here in these other lanes. They need to be forcing fights while there are members of Greed committed to that side lane farming up those supers. So we'll see what Tilt are going to be able to find. I did want to mention the fact that you had Weatherneck. Clearly the call was for the Jax to just commit to the split push there. The fact that that was the call meant that you probably shouldn't have also opted into the 4v5 on the other side of the map and given over a bunch of kills. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, I would generally agree with you there. Probably the call is for S13 and Skarner to not walk up to the Urgot like that, but
yeah,
this is kind of a great scenario almost. You have your tier 1 tower here, your Sivir, that means that thing is not going down unless Sivir is dead. Orianna gets to farm this wave top lane, Urgot's able to match Jax. As horrible as this game looks in some ways for XSV Greed, like, this is great.
Yeah, they've actually taken the gold lead.
Yeah, I guess you
crazy.
lose Otacon here, maybe?
Question
like,
mark.
at the same time, like, that's hard to take. You always have to push out here.
Yeah, as we see S13 trying to force something, but XSV are just backing away. Bone is still maybe in a little bit of danger, but it's very tanky on this Leona. S13 doesn't want to commit the Impale just for a Leona.
Yeah, and we see Urgot able to really push Jax down towards his bot lane and able to kind of get there. Sivir is quite low here now. This mid tower might go down here.
Yeah, we are going to see Weatherneck looking for the fight against Spoobert, as we were expecting the Jax to sort of scale into this matchup, right? He's going to jump forward, finds the solo right as I'm saying it. Weatherneck, with the killer instinct, flashes forward, secures the kill onto Spoobert, and now with a man advantage on the map, Tilt feel empowered to start the objective.
Yeah, this will be Atacon secured, and with 3 dragons, this is actually quite an impactful buff for them. Don't think they're going to be able to take this into a Baron or anything among that sort, but should be able to secure this easily and get all of the flowers that pop up as well. The real prize, which is strange to see.
Yeah, they did lose their mid-tier 2 for it, so XSV were able to get something back, despite losing out on their top laner and losing the Otacons. So, good to see there. So Greed still able to hold on to their 1,000 gold lead for the time being, but they're going to have to make another stand around this dragon, and they're not going to have their top lane inhibitor this time around. We'll have to see how this goes.
Yeah, is a full minute till this dragon spawns. We are able to get this push down. Hopefully we're able to get this kind of next super wave cleared out and then rotate down towards this dragon if you are Urgot.
Actually, the inhibitor is respawning now. As you can see the next wave coming out of the base, there's no more supers spawning for Tilt.
Yep.
So, and the Urgot does have teleport. The question is when and where does Spoobert decide to TP? Because you do have to contest the Cloud Soul.
Yeah. It's interesting to see. It's almost like this, the Jax answer that Spoobert feels they're so much stronger that they're able to kind of get there. Now we see them on the rotate. The Scuttlecraft does go over.
Yeah, it's river control for Tilt this time. It's going to be the side of XSV trying to force their way in. Ayo pops the Paranoia. Who's going to be the target? He does jump onto the Aurora, but the Nocturne, there's no follow-up there. Ayo just gets popped like a balloon. Oh, Slayer, let's get taken on the other side, and Spoobert finds the chains onto the enemy jungler, and it's going to be XSV Greed coming out on top in the team fight. It's only Star Burrito's the only carry left, and she can't do it all by herself. The Spoobert gets right on top of her. They're going to be able to take down the Aurora as well. Another kill for the Urgot, and that's only Neglect left alive. They're actually teleporting into the top lane. XSV Greed could look for the win right here.
No, I think this is just trying to get this inhibitor to equalize. Maybe we're gonna push for 2. I don't think we have time to get to the end.
It's a bit too slow. Slayer still is back in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
They didn't take the Dragon Storm. Is that going to come back to bite them? They're going to get 2 inhibitor turrets. They could potentially fall back to the dragon afterwards. They're going to be able to secure. It looks like maybe even. Ooh, they want to stick around for him, but yeah, I think you're right. They are going to get the mid inhibitor. And Spoobert is going to back away. So now, are they going to be able to secure the dragon, though? They haven't even started it yet, and Satan and Neglect are starting to move over in that direction. With Sivir, with Kaz there, they should be able to take the dragon very quickly, right? So, the teleport for Star Burrito into that bottom lane. Dragon down to about 50%. The Skarner's in the vicinity. Oh, but they're actually going to look for the play on a Spoobert instead. They're not contesting for the objective, so the dragon will go over. And now Star Burrito is isolated off on the flank. Oh, no, a moment of miscommunication perhaps for Tilt. And now what is Jax doing there? Oh, there it's all falling apart. Storm, what's going on?
It's the caster curse. It's struck.
It's all your fault, Storm.
It's all my fault.
Oh, God.
What
have you done?
This is powerful, powerful magic. I cannot believe how bad this has looked for the past couple of minutes. So yeah, free Baron. We got the important inhibitor down in the mid lane. Being able to go somewhere with this, you can just walk top lane now, I guess, after you take this reset, probably.
Oh, boy. We're really in the trenches now, my friends.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting a little bit muddy. Taking a look at the gold here. We were taking a look at the gold for a second. But back to the items now.
Do see some major finishes come through. That is Zhonya's finish now on the side of Jax and Aurora for this fight, being able to, enter that stasis period. Hopefully, when somebody is using an important ultimate on them, Um, see, Urgot has now finished his 4th item, going for the Hull Breaker. Gives you huge damage increase if you're able to hit it.
Oh, Star Burrito pops between worlds. Oh dear. Oh, a nice move there from Star, trying to create that space. The Urgot ultimate has connected for the slow. It was a cute attempt there, but not able to get away in the end. Just too many threats collapsing there from Greed. And now they are 5 men strong, pushing down this bot lane right now. The mid-tier one is going to fall, as Till do manage to secure that one. It looks like they're going to lose their bot tier 2 at the very least. Baron's still on for about a minute 45 for Greed. And what more they can get, their Nocturne did go back to base, so it's actually only 4 members down here. Honest 4v4 in the bottom lane at the moment, as the siege begins on this tier 3 turret.
But this thing here is, as Tilt, how are you going to kill this cannon minion? The only like range damage you have is Xayah being able to walk up and press Q on it. That's it.
Yeah.
There's an Urgot Rock, that might have been like, oh, there we go, Smite. That takes care of it.
Smite will do it, yeah. But now there's another cannon minion, and we don't have Smite anymore. It's cooked.
Yeah, that's the third inhib.
Yeah, well, the top inhib hasn't been taken just yet, but they might not need it. They're onto the Nexus turrets now. The respawn has come through for Star Burrito. The first Nexus turret, though, has already been taken down. The Shockwave does come out to find onto a couple of members, but it's actually Tilt winning out in the fight as Weatherneck jumping. That's Neglect, actually, finding the grand entrance onto Spoobert, who flashes away, stays alive for now. It's going to be the Sivir getting taken down off on the side, but does manage to get a couple back with a ricochet damage. Weatherneck into the Zhonya's, has the counter-strike. It's not going to save him from the Orianna damage, as it looked for a second there like Tilt were going to be able to find the team fight in the base, but the damage from the XSV carries was too much in the end. They will take the victory here in Game 2 and push us to 3.
Yeah, Game 3. Not what I was expecting after that early game. I pretty much had written that game off at about the 5-minute mark, as I'm sure a lot of people watching probably did as well. But that's why we play League, to see these comebacks and these crazy games.
I think we'll take that one as a lesson for us, Storm. No more writing games off. Anything can happen here in BOL Emerald.
Yeah.
But, so crazy. I mean, this game ended when both teams had 23 kills. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's very funny. Really, I mean, honestly, credit to XSV for being so far down. I felt like in such a tough position in that game, and still being able to find a way back in, right? So they definitely deserve some credit for staying calm in a situation like that. It's very easy to sort of let those disastrous early games kind of get in your head and affect the mental, but clearly they were able to kind of stay strong, keep comms open, and I think, by the end of that second game, we did see a little bit of that consistency that you were expecting to see from this team, Storm.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just absolutely amazed. There's got to be a mental reset heading into this Game 3. Just calm down. You guys can do it. But at the same time, as S13, that's got to be like the momentum of a lifetime. Like, I cannot imagine how hyped you must be to win that game as Urgot, right? And as Spoobert, there is probably like a pop off of epic proportion going on. Well, it's finished now, but I can't imagine how hyped that must have been.
Yeah, absolutely insane. The Urgot, from getting solo killed like 4 times in the laning phase to 11, 6, and 7 with almost the most damage in the game. Yeah. Really, really insane stuff. Who's your POG for that one, Storm?
As much as I want to give it to Spoobert, that early game disallows it. I'm sorry.
I think so.
Probably Kaz as Sivir. Just did consistently what you want Sivir to do. Just hit people all the time, cleared minion waves, was useful. I didn't see any big crazy Orianna combos or Orianna Nocturne. I didn't see an Ori Nocturne combo at all. I would also just like to throw out there.
I don't think we saw it even once. I think you're right. Yeah. I would have to agree. I think it was Kaz in this game. The starting AD carry, I bet they're very, very glad that they had him back for this game number 2. So I don't know if we'd be going to game 3 otherwise. We're going to go to a short break, guys, and we'll come back with our last game of the night. Do not miss it. All right, everybody, welcome back. We're going to be getting into our Game 3 champion select momentarily. Of course, in the Blue Otter League, that does mean we're going to be swapping sides once again. So back to the same sides we had in game number 1. The XSV Greed back over to the blue side and Tilt World Enders back over on the red. Does mean, presumably, that Weatherneck is going to have the option of going for that R5 counter pick once again, which theoretically should mean that Tilt are going to be able to fully utilize the drafting power of pro comps. It is, of course, our sponsor here, Blue Otter League. It's not just like the other tools, guys. It's a personal draft coach, perfect for both teams and for solo players. You can pair it with any other app that you use as well, or a coach, like an Orel, for example, if you wanted to do that. With Pro Comps, you'll receive real-time drafting advice with tailored champion picks and band recommendations. It stands out with features such as the ability to generate champion pools in seconds you can share with your friends, a post-draft guide to attack the game. You can generate comps based on your preferences. Coaches and analysis can even create personalized tier lists. Think of it as having a virtual coach and a strategy who will get all in one. The app is already over 280,000 downloads, thousands of daily users. It's user-friendly. It's totally free, guys. Absolutely free. It's a no-brainer. At least give it a go. Download now, and you'll experience a whole new level of drafting power, just like the World Enders are about to. Go to procomps.gg, download it from Overwolf, or click the link in our bio. Storm, where are we at with this draft?
The bans have just come through out of the round 1. Interestingly enough, the champion that's gone through is Varus now available, but we are going to see XSV with the first pick Udyr.
Indeed. Yes, the homeless man going to be joining us on the Rift has found a home on the side of
Yeah,
XSV Greed for this one. So that'll be interesting.
I'm
Very surprised to see him on the B1 slot there.
yeah, I feel that should have been Varus 100% as the first pick, but maybe XSV knows something we do not. Um, Technically is a flex pick, I think. Udyr top is
Maybe.
still kind of that disgusting champion you hate to play against.
Does it exist?
I
It
don't
might still
really know
exist,
if it
yeah.
still exists, but it probably
Um,
does.
yeah, I mean, I'm
Spoobert
taking a
does
look
play it a
at.
lot, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Yeah, it does kind of feel like a Spoobert sort of champion.
Yeah.
I could see that. Um, and speaking of players and champions, it does seem like Kaz maybe doesn't really play very much Varus, so that could be the reason why it went over. But yeah, I mean, now that's a couple of really strong picks for Tilt. I mean, they've got so much range just with those first couple of lock-ins for the World Enders.
Yeah, really going for kind of the ability to transition into a poke style is there with Varus and Hui. Yeah, and just all that range, something again that Udyr can struggle into, but does have that ability to just press E a second time and say, I do not care, and run at you.
True.
XSV going to take some of their own range instead, and we're going to go with Caitlyn Vel'Koz.
Yeah, trying
Wow.
to fight fire with fire, clearly, are the greedy ones. We'll see if that's too greedy. I mean, Caitlyn Vel'Koz, well, yeah, I mean, Vel'Koz in particular, not the most meta of picks, something we don't really see too often these days, right? Is theoretically also a flex, could go into either mid
Yeah,
or support, so we'll have to see
I
what happens there.
I think it's almost more likely to be a mid pick into the Hui answer.
Okay.
Think it's really good into him from what I understand. Hui struggles into other like actual artillery mages. Looks like Tilt agrees with me and they think that it is Hui and are looking to ban some engaged supports to pair
All
with this
right.
Caitlyn.
Yeah, Nautilus would be pretty threatening against the immobile Varus Nami lane, right? And basically, if he would ever land a hook, then that's like a free headshot for Caitlyn, which is something that Tilt don't really want to have to deal with. So
Yeah,
makes sense there.
I'm kind of expecting XSV to play again towards poke and things like that. I'm not going to be surprised if we see some sort of support like Karma or Morgana or things among that, just to try and keep that lane presence up for the Caitlyn. Are going to see XSV continue with these round 2 bans. They've got rid of the Aatrox in round 1, now getting rid of this Camille in round 2. And now we see what is this next ban. I imagine, again, it'll go towards top lane here. Tilt deciding to get rid of this Lux, one of those other just kind of push style champions that can really get some pressure, something that would again be kind of a flex pick, but it would just be flexing Vel'Koz and Lux into support. And
Yeah.
Amumu actually going to go down. That while we were in break, you were talking about that you were thinking that was one of the kind of junglers left in the pool who you were expecting to see and wanting to see.
Yeah, but he did get banned away in the second phase of the draft in the last game as well. So
Sorry.
I feel like that's
Yeah.
something that they had to go for early. And this is something else that I was talking about during one of the breaks, Storm. I am a verified NA Jace hater.
Yeah. Don't really agree with it. I kind of agree with you in the way that I hate NA Jace. I think that champion, unless you are Diamond, is not worth picking because he is
Yeah.
really, really hard to play.
Pretty much. And I do think that we should probably elaborate a little bit on why that is, right? Instead of just saying
Yeah.
that we hate it and then just leaving the subject there. The reason why we hate Jace so much, okay, maybe we should start with the reason why Jace is good, right? Jace is good because he's a very strong laner, and he can do a lot of damage in lane. He can be very oppressive. It's a very easy to get advantages in the 1v1 with Jace because he has, the ability to swap forms. He has access to so many different cooldowns, and he has, he's obviously the range advantage in a lot of cases. He does a lot of burst damage, so that's why Jace is good, because he's very good at getting 1v1 advantages. He's very strong in the side lane. The reason why that doesn't work in North America specifically is because, uh, either you fully commit to the side lane as Jace, in which case you're very susceptible to getting ganked, right? Doesn't do that great in a 1v2 situation. Very easy to punish Jace if he's overextended in the side lane. Or you take your big advantage that you got in the laning phase, and then you group up with the team for the team fights, so you can fight around the objectives, right? But the problem with that second option is that if you make just one mistake in the team fight, if you position a little bit too aggressively one time, if you go in a little bit too early one time, your incredibly fed Jace, who is like a critical part of your team composition, gets one tapped, and then you lose the fight and the game because you have Jace, a champion who offers zero utility and dies very easily.
Yep, pretty much.
So that's why we hate it.
I will say, in the side of Tilt's favor, is providing more of this poke style that they are going for.
Yeah.
Interesting to see that they round their composition out with this Zac towards the jungle. Something, again, very strong when ahead and is able to go kind of forward and get picks. When behind, is probably one of the worst champions in the game. I would say, safe to say.
Sorry, who's one of the worst champions?
A Zac, when you are behind a Zac jungle, because you cannot clear your jungle quickly, and the only thing you can do as Zac is engage. There's not a lot of like peeling back for your team. It's you go in as the slingshot boy. So Tilt playing incredibly towards poke.
Yeah, I feel like they've indexed a bit too much into poke.
Yeah. XSV decidedly went much more towards. I don't know. They kind of have a team fighting comp in most ways, just with a lot of range abilities.
Absolutely. They've got great front line. It was looking a little bit awkward for XSV right up until that Vi lock-in on the B5. That gave them what they really, really needed, which was engage, right? You were talking about how Udyr can like run at people really fast if he presses E twice. That's cool and all, but Vi bringing that point-and-click engage, I think, is exactly what this team composition needed to really round things out. They've got frontline, they've got damage, they now have engage, they've got disengage. This composition for XSV Greed can basically do everything. And for the side of Tilt, they can only do one thing, and that's poke.
Yeah,
they're going to do a lot of poking.
It's the Swiss Army knife versus the sniper rifle. A very a very useful multi-tool that can do everything pretty well versus a highly specialized and an expensive piece of equipment. Tilt's comp is very fragile, but if it works, it's going to make XSV feel like this game's unplayable. Like if Jace if Jace, Varus, and Hui get ahead early like they did last game, and you press Q on someone from 300 distance away and they lose 80% of their health, you win that dragon fight. That's how poke comps work. They're very frustrating to play against. But if you don't have some sort of monstrous lead and you aren't able to keep these flanks up, If Maokai presses R at you and Vi runs with that R and then QRs someone, they're going to die. There is nothing you can do on the side of Tilt about that.
Exactly right, Storm. Yeah, I feel like with this draft, Tilt have just they must prevent XSV Greed from playing the video game. The second that XSV Greed are allowed to play the video game, they will win. So Tilt, you have to like constantly be keeping those health bars low. You have to like make sure that XSV Greed can't even consider opting in for these team fights. Like you don't even want them to be thinking about it. Because the second that they get even close to a decent setup, they're gonna jump on you and you will die.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, I think this Nami pick for the side of Tilt is absolutely like stupendous. It was probably one of the best supports that you have. It gives you this laning phase that your Caitlyn to fight the Caitlyn with your Varus. It gives you some of that disengage with the bubbles and the movement speed that it offers and your whole utility. I think will be very, very useful. Um, and as XSV, one of the big kind of question marks I have is how is this top lane matchup going to go in between Jason and Udyr? Right?
Mm.
As we were talking, Jason needs to win early game, and he's so indexed into his laning strength and his early game kind of fighting. But Udyr is this really weird top laner of he pushes the wave and doesn't care what you're doing and just kind of presses R twice and then tucks himself into turtle stance. It's like Jace gets all the free poke in the world. Udyr runs at you kind of lumberingly, like you get to hit him all the
Yeah.
time, but are you actually able to turn that like damage into anything, or is Udyr just going to sit there and collect farm?
Exactly right. Yeah, I fully expect Jace to do the most damage in this game. Like, he should do the most damage in this game.
Yeah.
But is it going to matter?
Yeah, is it going to be doing 30,000 damage to a tank Udyr?
We'll see.
Yeah.
I think I've made it pretty clear which composition I favor between these two. Are you? What are your thoughts, Storm? Are you as one-sided in your feelings about this draft as I am, or do you feel? Do you have a little bit more of a nuanced opinion?
I don't think it's quite as bad on the side of Tilt as you were making it out to be.
Okay.
I just think that there's very few ways in like I'm really worried about this Vel'Koz mid basically. There's not a lot of mobility there. There's a lot of susceptibility to ganks. There's a lot of vision that Tilt should be able to get. That Vel'Koz is one of my major worries. Caitlyn again is my major worry. That Caitlyn is kind of infamous as being the mid game power trough champion, right? You know, you start on that amazing high of your early game, and then you fall off a cliff in the mid game, and then late game becomes good again. And Tilt is a team like with Varus and Hui, Chase, that like their mid game is bonkers bananas good, right?
Yeah, true.
So that's my other worry is your carries in Caitlyn and Vel'Koz in the mid are are probably in their weakest points in the game. So if Tilt is able to play this game right, they should win. Do I think they will? I kind of doubt it as well. I think I'm going to give it to
All right.
XSV. I'm going to lay the curse down. They're going to win.
We'll see. We'll see. Well, I think we'll really get a clear idea after this game about the strength of the Storm Curse. That's what I'm really looking forward to, guys. I hope you're all looking forward to it as well, almost as much as this game number 3 we're about to bear witness to. We're going to go into one more short break and then game 3 on the other side. Alrighty, everybody, welcome back onto Summoner's Rift for the last time tonight, the last game in this best of 3 between XSV Greed and Tilt. You know, last week, XSV Greed did pick up a win, so they are hoping, I believe, to go up to 3-0 if they get another win here. Tilt, I believe, they did lose last week. I think they're at 1-1 right now. So this would be big for them as well to make sure that they can maintain a winning match record moving into week 4 towards that midpoint of the season already, Storm.
Yeah, and there has been tons and tons of games going through. Maybe we'll talk about after. But right now, we see the rude poke coming through on the side of Tilt. They are not generous. They get the dance party going out, and Star Burrito goes, "Give me that. I need these mana
Nice.
flow band procs."
Let's see, how many mana flow band procs was that for the way? Get a quick check on, quick click on Star. Hover over the mana flow for us.
The one.
Okay, just the one proc, okay.
Yeah.
So it's not really game ending just yet. But yeah. I think, there's going to be one for the Otter. All right, we're all tied up for those mana flow procs. Love to see it. Yeah, I think I's going to be on the top lane for the early portion of this game, right, Storm? Just to make sure. Weatherneck had a really solid laning phase, obviously, in the previous game as well. Did not end up winning the game, as we saw. As Spoobert is completely unafraid of this Jace. Okay, Weatherneck's down to 200 health. Not a great start.
Yep, and that's the power of Udyr top. God, I friggin' hate playing against that champion.
Do you hate Udyr as much as I hate Jace?
Probably not. I think there's some real animosity there that you might need to talk to someone about.
I think you're probably right, yeah. We'll get to that later. So we got a flash forward in the bottom lane. Bone looking for the play onto Slayer, who has to flash away to get that distance, or would have been in real danger of getting headshot by Kaz a couple of times. So good move there from Bones. The early level 2 for the XSV bot duo. They're able to take advantage of it. That's some good damage coming out from Kaz onto the Nami.
Yeah, and again, that's something is Bone, you are thrilled to make that trade, right? Who cares about you having flash? I mean, it is a Hex flash on Maokai, which I think is somewhat strange to see, but...
Yeah, probably went... I wonder what the secondary tree is for Bone in this one. Because, yeah, Inspiration would make sense for support Maokai. But, I don't know. Yeah, it is the Inspiration tree, but yeah, going for the Biscuits and the Cosmic Insight instead of Hex Flash.
Okay. Well, top lane has not really amounted to much. Both teams just kind of pushing out. Do you see junglers on opposite sides of the map? There is a Zac who is able to come up here top lane, whereas we see Vi is more going down towards this bot lane, making sure that they're kind of...
Oh my god, Weatherneck is going to have to flash away! Spoober was looking for the solo. We do have a Zac here, as you just mentioned, Storm. Say 10, gonna be able to make his presence felt in this top lane. You have to imagine he should be able to. He's going to take the crab first, as the scuttles are going to get exchanged.
Yeah. Spoob also clearly realizing with Vi getting this down bot lane, goes, okay, well, Zac must be up here. Does take their reset. Safe. Isn't going to burn their TP. Great play, utilizing their Sixth Sense. And now we have to see. Now we have to see if Vi, on this repeat down towards bot lane after a while, is able to punish this Varus who doesn't have flash before that comes back up.
As we can see here, looks like the side of XSV Greed are just going to continue pushing in these waves for now. They do have to be a little bit careful, because now Say 10's off the reset. Zac's going to be towards this bottom side once again. Not sure if AO was spotted out on that ward. Was shown on it very, very briefly. I'm not sure if Tilt actually spotted out the Vi or not.
Yep.
It's going to be spotted now. As AO is going to be pathing towards this bottom side. It's going to be on the bottom side of the map for the dragon spawn. Is Vi one of the best junglers for taking those early dragons. Doesn't even need any help or anything like that. Very, very easy for Vi to secure those. See if
Yep.
AO does want to go for that.
We see both AD carries are going to be going towards this lethality build, I have to imagine, with Varus taking this Comet. And we are seeing
Yeah.
a lane swap here, interestingly enough. I'm guessing that we're going to be playing for these grubs then on the side of XSV.
Okay, I mean, they do have a Caitlyn, right? So in that sense, it makes sense
Yeah.
that you want to try and stack up the grubs to give her some more turret-pushing capabilities. But, you know, personally, Storm, I am of the philosophy that the dragon is just the better objective. So it's a bold call from Greed.
Yeah, I fully agree with you there. I think grubs are only good if you're winning. A dragon, always useful.
Yeah. Shock Blast is going to miss. The neutrals are going to get exchanged. So, you know, clearly with the Udyr showing in the bottom lane, then, oh, it's a full channel on the Lifeform Disintegration Ray for Otter. It's going to get starred down to, maybe 300 health there in the mid lane. But we're just going to see these neutrals traded.
Yep, and that's these grubs early. Oh, Weatherneck takes a
lot of
big chunk
damage.
here.
Yeah, Kaz doesn't quite have the ultimate available just yet, but Caitlyn, I imagine, is going to be level 6 relatively soon. And Weatherneck does not have the teleport, already used it. Let's get back to Spoober, ghosting on top of Slayer, as there is Nami going to be able to rejoin up with her AD carry, and Spoober says, oh, you do actually have your support here after all. Never mind, I take it back. And is just going to retreat back to the turret. Meanwhile, this top lane is looking really rough for Weatherneck. Spoober, meanwhile, is Udyr. He's totally fine to just hang out under this turret and collect these minions as best he can. Whereas Jace had to go all the way back to base to refill the health bar.
I think Spoober is about to die on this next minion wave.
Well, you could be
Zac is
right,
here.
Storm. Let's see. There is a Zac. Yeah, he's channeling the slingshot. And he is going to go in. He's a little bit ahead of the minion wave, though, so he's going to take up the aggro pretty early, but I don't think it's going to matter. Is going to expend the flash just to make sure that nothing gets traded back. But a well-executed dive by Tilt.
Yeah, and them having the kind of tempo and the advantage. You got 2 plates top lane, you got 2 plates bot lane, you got first blood. That's a major thing with these feats, right? Being able to get these early kills, get sports back. Upgraded boosts are really, really big deal. And you do see Udyr not building any AP, going forward the standard kind of tank build despite taking the grass.
Now. There we are back to...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Presses W.
Lifeform Disintegration Ray once again in the mid lane. Star Burrito going to take a big chunk, but it's not actually going to get taken. Oh, there's a passive proc, and that is going to force the flash out from the way. So Brother Otter clearly very practiced on the Void Squid, forcing out the Summoner in the 1v1.
Yeah, and one of those things that maybe Star isn't as confident in this matchup, just as way you just need to save your Fear Tether for this Vel'Koz whenever
when he's channeling the ultimate. You hit him with the Fear and you stop the ult, right?
Yeah.
Seems like Otter definitely be getting the better end of that mid matchup so far. Slayer gonna have to flash down here in the bottom lane, but the Chain of Corruption is gonna come out in response. The barrier keeps the Varus alive. The flash away for Kaz gets away from the piercing arrow. And that is gonna be both summoners down on both AD carries, as Weatherneck's gonna shock blast a minion wave. I'm trying to control myself here, Storm.
Yep. Force the flash yet again from the power of this Udyr, who is filled with full tank and is just running at you and kills you with his absurd base stats.
Yep.
Again, it's not like this Udyr pick is particularly powerful. Late game, he is pretty much worthless, as Udyr always tends to be.
He's a health bar. He's going to stand in front of Vel'Koz and Caitlyn and take damage. That is going to be his job. As the Nature's Grass is going to connect onto the Nami. The really nice Aqua Prison, though, onto the Caitlyn is going to make the follow-up difficult. Still, Kaz secures the kill. And we got to play towards the top lane. We're going to take a look at it in the meantime. Say10 trying to get on top of this Udyr. Is going to bounce around a bunch and take him down. But Slayer not going to be able to get away on this bottom side. You have to imagine XSV are happy with that trade. They do get the 2-for-1. The kill in the top lane didn't go over even onto the Jace's Star Burrito. The mathematics, well done there for the Otter. As he made the calculations, that's going to be his first kill.
That was sick. Having that Q and just knowing, yeah, this is going to hit, so this life form disintegration ray will kill this way in the mid lane. That was really well played.
It was. It definitely was. Yeah, the Vel'Koz play has been really, really good so far. Has opened up about a 20 CS lead in addition to that solo kill. We do have our next round of neutrals coming up now, Storm. I have to see if XSV Grid are going to continue to put that priority on the Void Grubs. They're not in really position to look for them right now. But Spoobird is, of course, keeping that push in the top lane as you expect into the Jace, right?
Yeah, and we do see that we have
Void Grub gonna
warmed our
get
support
mowed away by
here.
S13, but Neglect gonna have to flash out the back of the pit. The Nami had no other way of getting out of that situation. So one grub stolen away by Tilt because XSV were a little bit late to the party this time. They're gonna be able to secure the other two. As cute attempt there from Witherneck, but Smite's good from AO.
That's still 5 grubs. That's a big, big thing. That gives you some of that extra damage on the turrets. Kaz trying to put all their pressure down.
As Chain of Corruption gonna set up for the slingshot. Oh, and the ultimate gonna get interrupted even there by Satan. Oh, but Kaz was the trap, I thought. Slayer stepped on the trap. I thought maybe Kaz was gonna be able to get the 1-for-1, but not going to be the case in the end. Just a nice gank from Satan. Went straight down there from the top side. So obviously the Zac was on the Void Grubs, and then as soon as he got pushed off him, he was like, okay, I guess I'm ganking bot lane. Went straight down there.
Yeah. Interesting to see. Zac has finished his first item here. Going to help him clear a little bit faster. We see these other items coming through. The Yomu's first on the side of Varus, committing to that poke style completely, building towards the Muramana now. Vel'Koz here going to take their back. Imagine they will complete their first item here, whatever that may be. Instead, chooses to finish up the Sword Shoes, not having quite enough to finish that.
I do have a little bit of a garage sale situation for Kaz right now. Maybe this is some sort of attempt to mitigate that mid-game trough that you were talking about. But Serrated Dirk, Pickaxe, and VF Sword do not actually build into anything. As we've got to play onto Neglect, and the Nami just almost going to get taken down there. The Vi ultimate committed, and the Caitlyn ultimate on cooldown for that one as well. And now Vi and Maokai are very deep for this play. The Vault Breaker does land onto Slayer, though. They found the Varus. Can they get him just a little bit more damage? All they need, and there is Kaz with the auto attack. Gets it done in the end of the Severing Bolt from Star Burrito. Does take down Bone, but it's a massive play for Greed. They're going to get the flash and the passive off of Satan as well. It's another kill for Kaz. And it looks like maybe they extended a bit too deep and committed too much onto the Nami, but XSV Greed find a massive play, 3-for-1 in the bottom lane, and the Dragon afterwards.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but what is with Tilt and eating these cupcakes off of Caitlyn is putting down? It's crazy how many cupcakes have been stepped on.
They're delicious. As Neglect is trying to defend this tower, and is not having a very good time, but Slayer is back now.
Yeah, and that's an Ocean Drake Sapiri, which is, again, so huge for these pick comp scenarios.
And we have to mention as well, XSV Greed have got, we've got, we're mentioning a Nature's Grasp in the top lane right now, as this Jace has nowhere to go whatsoever. That's going to be a good setup from Bone. They commit the ult and the flash for it, but well worth it. And I was about to say something
was entirely needed, but Spoobird here should be able to get this top lane tower, I would imagine. Their Q.
But yeah, Storm, I was about to say something about turret plates and Void Grubs if you wanted to.
Oh yeah. No worries. You know, turret plates getting absolutely melted. Lots and lots of money coming over. You see this kind of gold lead really coming up for the side of XSV, able to take these down, and just that true damage really doesn't let that fortifications that these turrets get. And we see Caitlyn probably going to be able to take this lane turret as well, and then XSV will take their eyes to this mid lane tower, which again is also so near to falling down, and they're doing everything right early.
That's absolutely right. Great point there, Storm. Yeah, it feels kind of weird because, like, I feel like with this composition from Tilt, this is the early game that we wanted to see on their side, right? We wanted them to be winning all of these lanes, like taking a bunch of turrets early, building up a huge gold lead, and using that to just bully their opponents out of the game. But the fact that we're seeing that on the other side means that I feel like this mid game could be about to get really, really ugly for Tilt fans.
Yeah, it's looking pretty ugly here. It is a 5K gold lead at 15
Looking
minutes,
for the
right?
brother. Not gonna find him. Go on.
Yeah, and that's a major advantage. Like early game leads, you're typically wanting to see like when you're ahead at like 2 or 3K, and you're like, man, we're ahead. That's great. 5K is like, oh god, something has gone wrong.
It's a lot of Ks. Yeah. We are gonna get that mid tier 1. It was just barely hanging on, as you had already pointed out for us, so it was only going to be a matter of time before that got taken. Now sieging onto the tier 2 turret might be a little bit dangerous. Weatherneck has rotated over for some additional wave clear. And we do have a couple of minutes still on the next dragon.
Yeah, but we just see how hard it is and how great the siege is right now for XSV, that Caitlyn and Vel'Koz just able to put down all these different things that you need to dodge, and it's like you're playing one of those stupid training games, a practice tool. It just looks frustrating. And this is what Tilt is supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be the one frustrating XSV.
Storm, it's okay. Our Jace has a 20 CS lead. He's getting engaged on now. He is stunned up. The ace and the hole connecting there as well. But the side of XSV might be a little bit deep. Slayer is here to get out the damage, but there's Vi over the wall. They found Slayer. He flashes away to stay alive for now, and now it's AO's turn to flash out of this one. Look at that Vel'Koz ultimate getting so much damage out. There's that last bullet from the Caitlyn. Kaz on a killing spree. 9-5 now on the board for XSV.
But Jace is alive.
That's true.
Yeah, he did not die there. He almost faded them. I mean, this is just one of those things where your wallets are starting to do the majority of the work here. That's a play that should not have worked. That was an overextension, but they're ahead enough that it works out. We're going to see Vi, I'm pretty sure, buy nearly a full item on face, or the majority of the components for one. We see the Malignance has come through now, just making that ultimate do more and more burst damage. Caitlyn has the 2-item combo of it before this Murammat has even got a chance of becoming a Manamune.
Yeah.
Oh, this is ugly.
It is pretty ugly, yep. I would have to agree there, Storm. As the, we were talking about clouds, being dark earlier. Let's draw a comparison, perhaps, if we can. In the previous game, obviously, we were on different sides. It was XSV that was really far behind in the mid game when they were on the red side. If we try to bring our minds back, Storm, do we feel like that deficit in the previous game was bigger, or is this one here in game number 3 the bigger mountain to try to overcome for the red side team?
I mean, as much as I want to say it was probably worse last game because they were down 12-3, I believe it was, at something like 15 minutes. It was crazy how much of a gold lead they had. But they had the tools last game, whereas Tilt doesn't really have the tools. Again, these picks one behind. Like,
oh dear. Our burrito is about to get devoured. That is in a full channel on the Vel'Koz ultimate. And there is AO, very smooth, just over the wall there with the Vault Breaker. Made sure that Star Burrito had nowhere to go. And that is going to be a Herald charge into the inhibitor turret at 19.5 minutes. It's okay. The inhibitor turret will survive for now. Kaz actually going to get pulled in by these stretchy strikes, but able to get away easily there with the net.
Yeah.
And yeah, that inhibitor turret.
Neglect almost died to poke we see off screen, which is kind of indicative of how this game is going.
All right, another fight potentially is, the knock up there from the Vel'Koz interrupted the arrow charge, but now the chain of corruption is going to land, and there is a shutdown over to Slayer. So some gold over into this Varus's pockets is going to be great news for Tilt, but there's nothing that they can really go for in the aftermath.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what you want to see, and that's what you want to get. So you look at one of these tower bounties top lane. Another sign that this game is going horribly is when you see those. Got to see if they're able to get this bot lane tower. I think that is the next closest one to them, or is able to sneak Atacon or something like that. But right now, it's just we got to clear our jungle out of vision and make sure that we can take it safely and have somewhere to be.
Yeah, easier said than done, I think. We'll see if Tilt are going to be able to wrestle some control over some part of this map. Oh my goodness. Did he just steal that blue buff? I think he did.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. That is, oh my, if I'm Zach in this game, like, oh, dude, the mental is gone. The mental is just totally done. Hopefully, Satan has better mental than I do. I would assume so. My mental is absolutely terrible, so it's just sad. Yeah. Anyways, we do still have a very one-sided game here that XSV Greed are looking to pilot to a victory. There's a nice arrow from Slayer. There's this, the lethality Varus. You know, we're starting to see some decent damage come out, but like we were just saying, you know, they just don't have any control over this map right now. And yeah, there's the Caitlyn has actually more range than a piercing arrow, as we just saw.
Yep, and we just see that this vision that Tilt is able to establish and their fight back just immediately gets swept away. And it's like, all right, well, where is that going to surprise people from, right? XSV just seems to know exactly where he is and is pretty much making him worthless. We're going to watch Zach try and struggle to clear a red buff, I guess, for like 30 seconds.
I'm sure he'll get it.
Yeah.
Yes, ooh, dangerous. Neglect flashes away. There's a lot committed onto the Nami. They are going to shish kebab the fish. Oh my goodness, Kaz just assassinated a Varus. And now we are going to get the Maokai. There's the Spiraling Despair from Starbreeder's going to get one kill back onto the support, but this is going to be the Zac passive. Not going to get any value again. Satan going to get taken down. 3 for 1 in the mid lane. They could look for more here. I mean, it's only Starbreeder and Weatherneck alive to try to defend at the moment. There's not too much of a minion wave to work with for XSV.
On the bright news for Tilt is they do have a lot of wave clear with all these poke champions. So as long as an inhibitor doesn't go down and the enemy team doesn't have Baron, they should be able to poke. But bad news is that the third Infernal Drake is about to spawn, which means that in approximately 6 minutes, the enemy team gets Infernal Soul, which means that their poke does even more damage and gets to have that really nice, fun electrocute effect on all of their abilities.
Yes. Much fun, very damage.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great time, unless you are on Tilt World Enders, in which case it's going to be the opposite of a great time.
Yeah.
So we'll see where they decide to draw their line in the sand, because it's going to have to be at some point before an Infernal Soul gets taken, you would imagine.
Yeah, it's kind of one of these things that you just say to Zach, hey, go stand in a bush and press E over the wall. You got a cheeky smite.
Oof. That's, I mean, that's a plan.
Yeah. For some reason it gives vision, you can just fly. Just pray.
All right. The press E and pray strategy, not going to be employed just yet by Tilt. They're saving that one for later.
Yeah, save that one for the Baron.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Yeah, this second Infernal Dragon is going to get taken, and Tilt aren't really able to find anything on the cross map. They were thinking about ganking the Udyr, but Spoobert said, what if I just don't exist in this lane for like 20 seconds? And then there was no cross map. So now we've got an Otacon started.
As much as Spoobert, like, doesn't have an impressive scoreline, being 1-2-1 and being down like 18 CS, he's played fantastically. He ran away at the right times, which is better than a lot of top laners I expected of this league.
100%. I think we've seen a fantastic game from Spoobert. And remember as well, it was the B1 Udyr, right? Spoobert was just like, I mean, maybe it was a flex pick for AO the whole time. They did hold that Udyr flex until the very end of the draft, right? So that's most likely was the case. But, I mean, I feel like Boobert has just had such a great performance. I mean, even thinking back to the level 1, he was bullying Weatherneck's Jace for like the entire laning phase.
Yeah.
Like that's what we were saying. It's like the one reason to pick Jace is so you can like guarantee a winning lane. But he wasn't even allowed to do that.
All right, so we have 4 minutes until the next dragon, basically. Baron has spawned. There's currently a pink ward sitting on it, so Tilt does have to clear that somehow. Unsure how they were able to push out of their base and do so.
We shall see if they're going to be able to craft some kind of strategy for doing that. So right now, we are seeing complete control over the Baron pit being taken by Greed. Because they can afford to be greedy when you leave this big. Yeah, no, I think this is something that they can absolutely do.
Yeah.
We do have Satan is considering this as a possibility and is starting to move over in the general direction of the Baron pit. Bone.
Nope.
Nope, he's just going to get marked by the Maokai.
Yep.
The press E and pray strategy was never an option. In the end, it was denied by XSV Greed. And now with Baron in tow to complement their 8,000 gold lead, they are going to be looking to push in towards this Tilt base. Looking for the 3-0 for XSV, mid-tier 3, under fire. So
I
you're
mean,
off
you
on the
just gotta
side.
send it, right? You can't survive this Baron push. There's no way you do. So you just have to randomly start
The
a
press
team fight
E
when you're
and
down.
pray strategy.
Yeah.
Okay, we're still waiting for it. Because,
I
yeah,
feel
the
like
longer
poke
that they
is
wait.
equal. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it would be equal if they weren't 8,000 gold behind.
Yeah.
That's making things a little bit more difficult as, yeah, we're going to have to press E and pray, but in the opposite direction. Star Burrito tries to flash away, and Ayo is extremely deep now. He's going to have to flash himself, does get taken down, but just look at the wallets. Look at the wallet storm. Lightning strikes down the World Enders. They do get 2 back in exchange for the 2 that they lost, but so the minions colliding into the Nexus turrets. 2 inhibitors already been taking the flash forward for Slayer. The last stand. It's going to be not quite enough to take down Kaz. Weatherneck is going to get in there, takes down the Vel'Koz, but the Udyr on the other side of the fight takes down the Varus. Boobert, so tanky. There is the damage. It will come through in the end. Weatherneck defends the Nexus, and the game will continue for now.
Yep, we prolong the torture, it seems. If you thought that was bad, watching all that damage, wait till there's an Infernal Soul.
Oh, dear. Oh, God, I almost forgot about the... Oh, it's in 1 minute.
Yeah.
Hold me, Storm.
Yeah, that's how I feel Tilt is right now. Gotta be going. Well, we expended every single one of our... on the bright side, so did XSV. So,
okay. There's that silver lining. You're so good at finding.
Yeah. So AU now, when they press ult on somebody, isn't going to be dragged almost 3 screens away, hopefully.
Love that.
But wondering who on Tilt tanks a by ultimate and doesn't immediately die. Maybe Star is able to afford little Zonia's component here. Or something.
Yeah. Could be the angle. The Zonia's and Prey strategy. Rarely seen, but could be the time to pull it out.
Yeah, also probably not an enemy holding against Caitlyn who's Infernal Soul, now that I think about it.
Yeah, maybe not, the most optimal of purchases, but...
Is Star gonna get...
Dear.
Oh,
that's the double E.
Strong.
Yep, the E and run it. This is a 3-level difference, by the way, guys. Normally you might think, oh, it's just Udyr. He probably doesn't have the damage to 1v1 away. Well, think again, because he absolutely does. And he didn't even have Infernal Soul for that 1v1. He has Infernal Soul now, Storm. And I think I'm done casting this game. You're okay just to take the rest of it yourself, right?
Yeah, for sure. So we see Suter just pushing down the top lane here by himself. Slayer trying his best. And Vi comes forward. Vi does not press ult. With 1 turret left and the Dream. I can't imagine this is going to take very much longer.
They're still dreaming for now. Let's see when
Slayer
XSV3
almost
decides to
died.
wake them up. Yeah, then
Oh,
is in
there-
fact going to die. Is going to be disintegrated. In fact, what a way to go. As there's that press E and pray strategy did come out from Say10 in the end. But unfortunately, the prayers will not be answered. And it will be the 3-0 start for XSV3. They are in a great spot here in the Ionia division.
Yeah. A fantastic game 3, really closing that series out, riding the momentum off game 2, showcasing their strength, showing that we know how to close a game. When we were given the opportunity from an early game, we're going to be able to end it. We're a proficient team who knows how to push a lead. I mean,
Just like
look
you
at the
drew it up,
damage.
Storm, right? Never in doubt.
Yeah, never in doubt. I mean, that's for MVP of that game. It's got to be looking like one of the people of Kaz and Brother Otter, right? As much as I want to give it to Spoobert for saying, like, man, they were in the right place at the right time and they, they didn't int and they played well into the chase. I mean, your Vel'Koz got some solo kills and just played like a
Yeah.
maniac. Caitlyn only had one death with a 16 KDA to end the series.
Yeah. I mean, everybody on XSV played well in this game. I don't think we can really, look at anybody and be like, that's definitely not them as the POG. I think you can make an argument for any one of these players.
Yeah.
But I think, part of me absolutely does want to give it to Spoobert for the B1 nature of the pick as well. But realistically, I think you're probably right, Storm. I think it has to go to one of either Otter or Kaz for this one. I believe we gave it to Kaz for game 2. So would be a nice even all-around Kaz vote if we wanted to go in that direction again. But the Vel'Koz play in the mid lane, I mean, Brother Otter was putting on so much pressure there just in the 1v1. Was clearly very comfortable in that matchup and just played a great game on the Void Squid, a pick that we so rarely see.
Yeah, channeling his inner Rutledge.
Good shout out there, our boy Rutledge.
Yeah.
Is he playing this season? I don't know if I saw him on any of the rosters.
He is
retired?
not. I think that man is retired. He has enough chips. I'm pretty sure he has a family now.
Lame. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
Shout out to Rutledge. Hope he's doing good.
Yeah.
For this game, what are we thinking? If I'm holding your feet to the firestorm, if I make you choose one,
I'll give it to Brother Otter. I think the
Hmm.
Vel'Koz was more impactful than the Caitlyn.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Definitely a great night out for XSV. They struggled a little bit in game 1 with coordination. Something that in some part I think we can contribute to the fact that they were playing with that E sub, right? Not even a rostered sub. Like this is somebody they were like desperately just trying to find anybody that was willing to come onto the Rift for that game. So honestly, shout out to what was it, Biggie?
Yeah.
I'm
feel
very
bad.
sorry, I forgot your summoner name, but shout out to him for jumping in that emergency situation. But I feel like once they got Kaz back, they really did ramp up into this series very, very nicely for the side of XSV. Any other final thoughts, Storm? Anything else you wanted to mention before we close out the stream for this week?
The only thing I will mention is this week I will be dropping a Google form for content. Please fill it out to help me fill out content, see how the other teams are feeling about BOL right now. And I hope to see you guys all next week.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for being here, Storm. Great casting with you once again from myself and Storm and Braku and the entire team at Blue Water. Thank you, everybody, very, very much for watching. Do be sure to tune in tomorrow night, same time, same place, for week 3 of the Platinum League. For us here, thank you again. We'll see you next week for week 4 of Emerald. Have a great night.